Happy Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 46 of Lights, Thunder, Action. We will be on right after this aggressive live performance. Welcome to the shop of Anonymous. I swear I don't want anything to do with this. I promise. If you hear me screaming from the top, I'm dropping knowledges. A barrel's too far gone for a rookie, so I'm calling this game over for you chumps. The grind is all I know and do. Breathing fire like a dragon's or green power coming through. Yeah, I'm working 3 jobs so that I can frack and I crew. That money you dummy, I'm finna know honey can't take that love from me. Going to the future and never coming back. Marty McFly, now more like his dad. Trying to be calm, all this news is just whack. Propaganda flying, so now everybody mad. Empathy is gone, so we all for attack. If you disagree, you just stupid and sad. Use intolerance, or must be smoking crack. Ignorance is bliss, y'all just a dyad. Two sides of the same coin, killer. Why we ever stop living up for pillar? Acting like everything in life must be a thriller. We living in a world written by Frank Miller, cause the Dark Knight returns. So now we churn. See our heroes messed up and now we spurn. Then because they piss us off and now we burn their careers and lives to the ground, cause we yearn to be in that position so that we earn millions and millions and millions. But then we turn into the very thing we hate. Now we revert and we refer to the lines that we rehearse. Spread love and forgiveness only to sink deeper. Distract myself from the world. Water, earth, fire, air, swirl. Bend it to your will, then hurl. Flying buffalo, why don't you give it a whirl? Grab a saber, then just twirl. Force cut a pair, give her a pearl. Power unleashes a churl. Join the dark side. I guess it's time I get back to work. Captain of my own enterprise, call me Kirk. Anger and depression always seem to lurk around every corner, so I write this just to perk. Everybody mood up, cause we screwed up. Living in a country where we shoot up. Anybody disagree, just to move up the food chain where you grew up. Otherwise they beat you down cause you used up. Time to boot up. New mindset program, think you knew us. But you shoot us, you only care about us to subdue us. Just to screw us, living in a country full of Judas. Stab you in the back, USA or Brutus. Calling Lucius, bringing out the Dark Knight. Now we tuned up, time to scoop up any positivity while the masses all are clueless. They can only catch the speed, miss the new ones, opportunists. Leave them naked in the ground, talking ruthless. I am ruthless, visions full of kids grown ghoulish, broken ruthless, spitting proverbs like Confucius. Call me Tommy Toretic or Nostradamus.
Who this? Who this? Who this? Who this? Who this?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 46. Holy crap, dude.
46.
Of Lights, Thunder, Action, where every week we discuss all things Marvel, Star Wars, DC, and the latest happenings in the entertainment industry. I'm Thomas Carter Rochester, a.k.a. Thor, son of Dale.
My name's David Thompson, and today we've got a massive show for you guys. And this time, no hyperbole here. Oh, we've got, of course, you know, standard stuff here for Lights Thunder Action. We got WandaVision, the second half of the show, you know, typical stuff. That's gonna be big. Like there's a lot going on in WandaVision. We're gonna preview episode 8. Only 2 more episodes of that show to release, and holy crap, the end of episode 7. What an ending. But before we get to any of that, the news, ladies and gentlemen. The news, ladies and gentlemen. Spider-Man No Way Home is officially upon us. We have an official name for the Spider-Man 3 film that everyone has been theorizing about. What's wrong?
Is it real?
Liar!
Hard to tell. There are just a bunch of
liar.
Zzz.
I mean, some of the names don't seem real, but I think No Way Home is real. We've also got some other exciting news coming for you, but Something that is truly exciting is we are not alone today, ladies and gentlemen. It is not just Thomas and I. We are bringing in a guest, a very special guest, Marvel writer and editor and Funko Pop expert. Check out his articles on thedirect.com for more insight on that. From thedirect.com, where I work, where he works. Welcome in, everyone. John Ross Bradford. Bring him in.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Really happy to be here.
We're very happy to have you, John Ross. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I'll let you guys know, we didn't call him in late because of the Spider-Man news. This wasn't like, oh my gosh, we need reinforcements. No, this was planned, and just destiny gave us this ginormous story and some super crazy marketing schemes already upon us from Sony between last night and today. But before we get to any of the news, how are you guys doing? John Ross, new to the show. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Seriously, I really am glad to be here. It's an honor to have even been asked to join you guys. I really love the content you put out, but I'm doing great. Great. It's getting warmer. I live in the Chicagoland. We've been at 20 or below for the past 6 weeks now, and finally hit the 40s yesterday. So big steps.
Dang, that is. Thomas, how you doing?
You know me, brother. I'm alive. It's been a long 6 days of straight work. Like what's changing, man? Nothing and everything. I'm good, man. I've put in some work in the last week. I've watched shows, right before bed, just squeezing them in as much as I can before, I pass out for 6 to 7 hours every night. And boy, do I have some fun stuff when we get to what we're watching. But David, how are you, bro? You're having lots of fun. You're having more fun than me lately, and I'm a little jelly.
Trust me, I'm having plenty of fun. As everyone knows who watches this show, Spider-Man, he's my guy. He's my number one. I like the reason I'm into Marvel, I think, is really because of Spider-Man. The way I was super into the MCU, obviously, before he came in. But once he did, I mean, the ceiling just broke off of how much I care about this fictional universe. I mean, I was so upset when he initially was set to leave. When the report came out and then he came back, I mean, that was just a flood of emotions where I shouldn't be that emotional about this kind of stuff, but I love Spider-Man. Anything about him just gets me super excited. I just cannot believe we finally have a name, especially after the last night tease and this morning waiting on Twitter for 2 hours just to see. I was at work trying to stay on the computer and see what was going on. So it's finally upon us. But yeah, Thomas, you spoke about some exciting things you're watching. What are some of those things?
NFL Live! God, I love that show. It is my obsessive thing. I put it on. If I need to get work done, I throw on NFL Live because I know that I'm just going to listen. I'm not going to watch. Especially in the off season. It's all about what they're saying, not about the images they're showing.
Right.
So I've been watching that. I watched Young Rock. I think it was last night after I got off work. I've kind of lost track of days.
Yeah.
I'm an unabashed wrestling fan, and I grew up loving The Rock, and I read his book, so I knew some of these stories here and there. But watching Young Rock and the way that they put together the show, brilliant. Yeah. It looks as if they're going to take a lesson each week and learn about that lesson as it continues on through his life. So they have, young little Dewey version, and then they have 15-year-old looks like an undercover cop version, and they have the college guy who creepily looks like The Rock did at that age.
Really?
So it's really good, well acted. It's perfectly cast all the way around. I watched that. I finished Flash season 6.
Okay. What is it going to be? Is that the latest season? I don't know. I don't keep up with CW.
Yeah, it is. So that was, ending early because of COVID.
Right.
Wow, they really I'm so happy that I did not watch the final 4 episodes until now, because I would not have wanted to wait a year, I believe, is how long it'll be between new episodes of The Flash when it comes out in a week from yesterday. Why was it a week from yesterday? Well, instead of last night like originally planned, that was because Superman and Lois
Yes.
David, how far did you get?
Yeah, so I know it exactly because when I stopped, I made a note and mentally of where I was. I'm at like 23 minutes in, and I'm curious to see. So let's not talk about spoilers, guys, because I think both of you watched it. I apologize.
Oh man,
I deeply apologize. Normally, I've done my
I
homework.
specifically asked you if we could talk about this together.
I know. I started it. I couldn't finish it. It is pretty long. Even though I only got 23 minutes in, so it's not even like I got like 45 minutes in or anything. And like the dumb trailer or the commercials on the CW website. Anyway,
listen, I agree because trust me, I could have zoomed through those. Yeah. And I thought I'd recorded it on YouTube TV, but it turns out I recorded the TNT replay on YouTube TV. So way to pay attention to that one.
But yeah, I checked out. So 23 minutes in. I have been off of the CW Arrowverse whatever shows since like Flash season 3, 4-ish. I think. Anyway, sorry. I apologize for everyone who loves those shows, but they got to be too many and they got too saturated to me, and they kind of went away from why I loved it in the first place. But anyway, this show I think has some real promise. Like just the open, like if I would advise anyone who's just flat out a DC or Superman fan, just go check out the first 5 minutes of the show. Like I was fully enthralled by it, and the budget looks really well done. The cinematography work, which I feel like is such a little random thing to like nitpick. I always thought, it felt very I network TV like with the Flash and Arrow. This show seems like it's filled more like an HBO show or something like that, like a higher quality of just almost even performances and the way it's shot and the way it looks, and the story is really good so far. Like I said, I'm only like maybe not even halfway through the pilot, and I'm really into it. So you watched it, Thomas? You liked it? I concur.
Oh, you can most definitely concur because I cried so much during this, and I just want this to be very clear. Everyone on screen, raise your hand if you're a Superman fan. I'm not a Superman fan.
I do like Superman.
I think he's OP. I'm very picky against Superman. Yeah, I love Christopher Reeves, and I've said since day one, season 2 of Supergirl, when he premiered in the episode, Tyler, I'm never going to say his last name right, Hecklin. Sure, that's close enough.
Yeah.
I said that he is the most definitive version of Superman since Christopher Reeves, and I stand by that.
Yeah.
He's just exactly what you need from Superman, and the fact that he's just super weird and nerdy and like an outsider in all aspects of his life because he's just so genuine and nice, good old Kansas boy. But as Superman, then he's just like, just wait, David, because the way that they're playing with and humanizing Superman and his emotions is the very best thing about Superman. And they actually got it right.
Yeah.
Like they got it right, pull through.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do because already, boom, immediately, episode 1 of this comes out. I know he's been in the CW shows like before, and like, but it seems like they're kind of going away from attaching it to any of that. At least from what I've seen so far, there wasn't much like cross. I don't know. Like I said, I've been behind. I don't really understand how it's all connected or whatever. But it didn't seem like It didn't seem like not having watched anything in a while really mattered. But what I wanted to say was already on like Twitter and stuff, you're already seeing the comparisons of like how does he stack up against Henry Cavill and all this stuff. I think a lot of it has to do with how he's written. Because people whine and complain about Man of Steel and Batman v Superman and how Superman is portrayed and how he's not the speaking of hope. I'm a big Man of Steel fan. Like I will argue to the teeth for that. And I like Superman. I think Superman, he is OP and he is generic in a lot of ways, but I think that's in because of his like his just overpowered abilities and generic, like I guess kind of like the way he goes about himself and his like fighting and stuff. I think interesting stories told by him can be that much more fascinating because of his lack of originality, as you see in a lot of these other characters and shows. Like think about Scarlet Witch and Wanda. Like that is such a unique character. In the X-Men, comics, like she's a mutant and her powers are very interesting. Superman flies. He's like the most prototypical, stereotypical superhero. but I enjoy the character. Before we get to anything else, John or Ross, while we're still on this, you watched the full thing. What did you think of the show? Are you a Arrowverse lover, supporter? Are you fully caught up on all of it?
So I was a fan of the Arrowverse before it was the Arrowverse. That's kind of actually where they lost me. Is I was a huge Arrow fan. I loved that show. I'd stay up till 2, 3, even 4 in the morning watching that show. Every night to get myself caught back up. But when they started dipping into The Flash, and definitely when Legends of Tomorrow started, that's when they started losing me, just because I didn't have the time to keep up. And so I tried The Flash. It wasn't really for me, and that's where I really fell off. So coming into this, I saw the marketing for it, and I was like, wow. And it's like you said, this doesn't look like a TV budget show. This looks like, it looks pretty cinematic. This looks like it's shot for a theatrical release. And so I was watching it last night, and without spoiling anything, I will say that the CGI specifically is hardly distracting, like in the very slightest, especially compared to its counterparts in the Arrowverse. But and the balance of Superman's story in the show and Clark Kent's story in the show with his family. I know the pilot was a little longer. It was like an hour and a half with ads or something. But I thought the balance was really, really healthy between the two. I was just as invested in the Superman side of it as I was in the Clark and Lois side of it. So I'm really, really, really excited to see where this series goes.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to finish it, and I'll probably keep watching. And I think, I'm not sure. We'll see how it goes, but I would love it if it is this whole kind of primarily separate story from like The Flash or Legends of Tomorrow or whatever else they have going right now. Or like, what is it? Batwoman, all that. Just because I think
Batwoman's a thing.
Yeah, there's a bunch. There's a bunch of different stuff going on. But anyway, I'm interested. It looks really good. And Thomas, you liked it. You're into the Arrowverse. What else have you been watching?
That's it, bro.
Oh, that was it.
That's it. That's all I had time for. I had time for.
Then I'll turn it to me.
One final thing on Superman and Lois.
Yes. Sorry.
So there was a special 30-minute after show as well that I watched.
Okay.
And it kind of dove into like why it feels different than the Arrowverse, and it's kind of like they're setting forth on the next chapter. Is kind of how they framed it. Because I don't think you watched Crisis last year, but it was absolutely insane. Oh, you did, but you didn't watch everything after. No. Right. Yeah, so a lot of the stuff that happened after, it was kind of weirdly done, but it seems that like once the season lines all kind of ended, they have a chance to restart going forward. And with Superman and Lois, there's some big plot points that is like, oh, okay, so it might feel separated, and here's a reason why it might feel separated. But at the same time, we also have Flash, and I'm hopeful that this style of the storytelling and the aesthetic will slowly seep into the others, because I personally liked the flow. I like the energy. I like the cinematography and the care to the characters that they were given. All the characters across the board. And I want more of that in CW shows. I know they're listening. So guys, I've been here since day one of Arrow. Like, help me.
We know you're one of those
me.
7 people right now. We see you, CW.
Yeah.
Speaking of another whole network, Netflix. So what I've been watching, not much. Obviously, WandaVision. Me and my girlfriend Jasmine, we finished Mindhunter, which is a Netflix original show. It's very good, and not because like I'm not one of those guys that's typically into like the serial killer like kind of story that just baits everyone in. My girlfriend is. She loves that kind of stuff. Like the Criminal Minds and things like that. That's normally not me. That's not my temperament, I guess. I can't like look at dead bodies all the time and think about that kind of stuff. That's just not me. I like superheroes and Spider-Man. But we finished Mindhunter. It's very good. And there's no plans for a season 3. So I know Netflix, you are also watching right now. Please put out a season 3. There's no production right now. There's like no pre-production or anything for it. There's really no news. And it could do a season 3. The characters in it are very, very good. The acting's very well done. And honestly, as someone who's not really into those kinds of shows, I thought it was very well done. And I really want a season 3 just based off of I care about the characters and want to continue their stories and see what happens. But yeah, that's been pretty much it. I obviously started Superman v. Lois, or v. Lois, Superman and Lois.
Could you imagine?
that could be interesting.
Hot take, Lois wins.
Very, very one-sided.
Yeah. So John Ross, anything you've been watching at all? Just anything?
Yeah. So I've actually been rewatching The Blacklist. My girlfriend and I have been cranking back through that to get caught up to the most recent season. And seeing all that James Spader is really, really making me miss Ultron, man. I gotta say, I out of all the villains that were done dirty by, being one-off characters, Ultron is at the top of my list for sure. Yeah. And I mean, I'm not saying he'll never come back, because he has to, especially with his comic history. He's always coming back. I don't even care how they explain it, but The Blacklist has been the main one. I don't know if you guys watched The Boys, but they confirmed season 3 started production today. I don't know if they started today, but they confirmed it today. So that's super exciting. So I want to get back through the first 2 seasons and get my hype back up for that too. But other than that, it's just been WandaVision, man.
Well, John Ross, do you listen to any other podcast besides us by chance?
I listen to The Direct because I'm loyal and I support the good cause, which is
you guys can find The Direct podcast on a bunch of different podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I know it's all up there. They had something happen just the other day, but I know it's all up good now. And if you guys want to find our audio podcast for Lights, Thunder, Action, you can head to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or our hosting site, Spreaker. Check us out there. Going for a rock, driving the car, don't want to look at our ugly mugs. You can find our audio podcast there. Last week, I had some technical difficulties with my computer. Good thing is I got my hard drive working, and I was able to upload. Our latest 2 episodes are now up on audio podcast. I will definitely have this episode up probably tomorrow. And so go check out that. Thomas, what else you got for me?
Every week we go live right here on our Facebook page of Lights, Thunder, Action Show, as well as the HWWS WebTV channel over on YouTube. You can find all of our social medias and links to our live show on Facebook and YouTube at linktree.com/Lights, Thunder, Action. That is LIGHTSTHUNDERACTION, all one word, no hyphens, no spaces. We will be right back. We're going to take a brief break before we dive into everyone's favorite segment of the week. Reels and Heels is a podcast that discusses movies, television, wrestling, and more. With a rotating guest list of friends and filmmakers alike, Reels and Heels salutes the creative arts of all kinds. Join Brian Winzeloff and Nicole Jobin live every Saturday at 2:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Reels and Heels. From the mind of Christopher Michael comes CRIT, Convert Reconnaissance Infiltration Team. When he decided to create CRIT, he used a resource that he knew well, Dungeons and Dragons, and developed the story organically through the actions of players by recording the game sessions, and turns the story into the comic that you can read. Over 100 pages of content, action-packed with explosive fun, CRIT is a superhero journey of discovery. 4 action-packed, fun-filled books in one package, such as a superhero story where Mission Impossible meets Beverly Hills Cop vibe. That's CRIT by Christopher Michael. Starts on Kickstarter today. The Listener is a series revolving around Addistan, a Native American soldier loosely based on Leslie Tebow, a Native American vet who fought and dealt with horrifying circumstances. Addie, for short, inherits the abilities of the Listener when his father dies, allowing him to see the dead, as well as other supernatural beings. We pepper supernatural horror into the narrative of our story, a modern take on old stories, myths, religion, and campfire tales. One of our biggest strengths is what sets us apart, the fact that our stories are buried in long-forgotten truths. We're not writing superhero stories. We're depicting tales for a new generation. The Listener, When Wind Weeps by Dustin Brunel. Available now on Kickstarter. What the news? Pow!
Oh, what the news indeed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to starting off hot today with we got the official 3rd installment of the MCU Spider-Man movies, it will be officially titled Spider-Man No Way Home.
If you date, you could be in hell and talk.
I'm getting ready.
I was like, wait, is that a sound? Yeah, guys. So let's just kind of break it down. I'm going to start from the beginning and end with what we're going to watch in 1 second, Thomas. So last night, Tom Holland, Jacob what is it? Batalon. Yeah, sorry. And Zendaya all take to their Instagram and post a fake Spider-Man. They post a fake Spider-Man title that didn't actually happen to be true. Everyone initially, because Tom Holland posts first, phone home. Everyone thought that was it because it's Tom Holland and he posted first and he said in the caption that it was the title. Obviously, then we got Jacob's post and Zendaya's, and we all realized. It was crazy at the direct. I was writing the article for when it was happening, and oh my gosh, I almost fainted. Liar! Because I had written anyway behind the scenes. I had written what I was gonna write, knowing it was the title. And then had to completely revert it and pump it out, and we had to move quickly. So anyway, all that happened, and let's just get to it because what happened was it was all fake. Bottom line, they were just trolling, and finally this morning, there was rumors going around that we were going to get the title because why would they tease us the night before without actually giving it to us anytime soon? It's just a title for it. It's not. It's really not that big of a deal, even though everyone was freaking out about it, including myself. But it's not the biggest deal in the world, so just give it to us. Everyone's waiting around on Twitter this morning, and finally, Sony releases this video officially revealing the title. You can play it right now, Thomas.
All right, so
Gave us a fake name again.
Apparently, this actually is in the Sony studio, by the
I
way.
just don't understand why he keeps doing this.
You don't understand?
Really?
I feel like it's pretty obvious
Yeah.
to spoil things.
I don't spoil things.
The thing
Name
is
me
to
one
spoil.
thing that I've actually spoiled.
The last movie title.
Look
Oh.
at that.
My God.
Wait, and Thomas, keep playing because I want to see. I love the transition from this shot to with the actual title card. There it is. Spider-Man. No Way Home.
Yeah, they're not getting that past me. There's no way.
Yeah.
Hey, David, remember that time when you asked the statistics on what's going to happen in a Spider-Verse style live action movie? Remember what I said?
100%.
100%. That is correct. I'm going to call it right now. I was right.
Okay. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Spider-Man No Way Home. This is the official title for Tom Holland's third Spider-Man film. It'll be his sixth MCU film, which is very exciting. There's so much hype for this. The amount of rumors, speculation when it comes to reports about Jimmy Foxx's Electro. What's Doc Ock's actor's name?
Alfred Molina.
Alfred Molina. Thank you, John Ross.
Alfred Molina, the man.
Back
One of
as
the
John.
best Marvel villains ever.
I agree. Back as Doc Ock. All these certain things. William Dafoe possibly on set. And then obviously the giant one is Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield going to be in it? Who knows? Bottom line is we know the title now. We can speculate. Let's speculate. Let's just do it. So bottom line,
We're speculating? It's time for speculation?
Sure.
Okay.
Then let me be ready.
Okay. So you guys I'm going to ask two questions to each of you. First question is, how do you like the title? Just as a title, just simple as that. On the surface level, how do you like it? Second question is, what do you think it means? What story, what plot points do you think the title can reveal to us? What do you think this means for the actual story of the film? John Ross, let's start with you.
So the title, as of with what we know today, I think the title's meh. I think it's okay. It doesn't. First of all, this is one of the titles that people have been guessing for a while. We've seen this. It's not like this is new.
Mm-hmm.
But when I saw the reveal, especially after the jokes we got last night, I was hoping for something a little more grand. I don't know what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
and I don't know what would have kind of, I guess, met my expectations, but this one, it didn't really get me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what do you think the title could mean plot point wise? Do you have any guess, any theory as to what this title points at? Like, for instance, Spider-Man Far From Home was, I mean, you could point to a few different, meanings to it, but the main one was that he wasn't in New York, he was in Europe, he was far away from home. Simple as that. What do you think that No Way Home can mean in the context of this film?
Well, so the Far From Home title had a dual meaning, just like Homecoming did. So Far From Home also kind of related to the story that Mysterio gave to Peter when he was, pulling one over on everybody. So when I look at No Way Home, I don't want to look at it just from Peter's perspective, because there's the very obvious plot point that, he's going to have to go through some stuff before he can get back home and live his normal life again, based on, the events of Far From Home's ending. But No Way Home, with all this talk of the multiverse, this could be involving so many of those other villains like Jamie Foxx's Electro or Alpha Molina's, Doc Ock, where, they're dead. As of right now, at the last we saw, they're dead. And even I'm sorry, what's Sandman's name? Is it Thomas Hayden Church or something?
Yeah,
something like that. He was rumored to be in it. Willem Dafoe's rumored to be in it.
Yeah,
Sandman's the only one of those that was alive the last time we saw him. So No Way Home, it could have some sort of multiverse concept to it where, these villains died and maybe they went to, I don't know if they somehow ended up in like the dark dimension, or if maybe they're even in Hades, or, Marvel's version of hell, which would explain why Mephisto could relate to that if we see him in WandaVision, but I'll get to that later. But the No Way Home thing, maybe it's their way of saying, hey, there's no going back now. We got to keep moving forward and press on. So I think, especially when marketing picks up, we'll definitely start to see more clues of this, but I don't think we'll have a good understanding of this title until we see it. Yeah.
Thomas, before you go straight Eric Selvig on me, let me give my answers. I think so John Ross, I think I do like the title. I like No Way Home. It excites me as a title. I do think, however, to your point, I think last night's teases set me up for, like you said, a grander, more exciting, something more unique of a title, not just, no title with the word home in it. For, momentarily when I was writing it, I think I wrote something along the lines of, maybe this has to do with the fact that there was multiple titles. It plays into that multiversal theme that could be in this film, where maybe the title of the movie will kind of be fluid. It won't matter in a way, which I thought was, that's a crazy concept, but I thought was very interesting. Secondly, I thought maybe because they both had the word home in it, they were like trolling us fans and actually going to be like, oh, the word home isn't in it after all, which would have excited me. Yeah. I'm actually kind of annoyed that they put themselves in this corner when they named it Far From Home, and now this title had to have the word home in it, just because I think speculation would have been all over the place if it didn't have to have the word home. But of course, it is what it is. It'll be the home Spider-Man trilogy forever. Second part of my question, what I think it means. I think it's going to have I think it's going to be a layered, meaning similar to Far From Home and Homecoming, where I think, based on, especially if you want to pull up the pictures now, Thomas, the stills we got from the different actors that are our first official looks actually at the film, featuring obviously MJ, Peter Parker, and Ned, where, what are they looking at here? I think you can kind of flip through them if you want. I think this movie is going to be partially about, let's not forget, everyone, at the end of Far From Home, something like crazy happens when J. Jonah Jameson announces to the world that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Like, that cannot be treated lightly. This movie is going to deal with the ramifications of that. And all signs point to this movie taking place very soon after Far From Home, especially now knowing when WandaVision takes place. That Far From Home was 7 months basically after WandaVision, 7-8 months. So all signs point to them dealing with those ramifications, and maybe these three are quasi on the run, or they can't go home for some reason. I don't know. It's kind of a stretch. They don't look like they're completely out, and Peter's not wearing like another mask or anything to like cover his identity. But the way they're going around these seemingly empty like buildings and stuff, I don't know. I think there could be something where Peter himself is on the run from someone and he can't go back home to simply to Aunt May right this second because he could put her in danger. And that's the biggest part of his identity being revealed to the world is putting his loved ones in danger. That's always been the reason why he's made it a secret. And now it's out in the world. We'll see what happens with that. The second part I have to it, I'm starting to think that the multiverse element of this movie will be less of their characters, such as Doc Ock, Electro, Green Goblin, perhaps, coming to the MCU's universe, but Peter, our Tom Holland's Peter, going to the other universes. That's what I'm starting to think. Because if he gets trapped in one of them, at the end of this film, he's got no way home, and then we have Multiverse of Madness a few months later where he's supposed to be in it to get him out. That's where I'm hoping this leads, because imagine the reaction where at the end of it, it's like, oh shit, and he's stuck in like Tobey Maguire's world. Like, I'm getting chills thinking about it. Like, that'd be so sick, and it would be incredibly cool to see Tom. It's a Sony picture. They could do this so easily if they just literally like tossed him in the Andrew Garfield verse or the Tobey Maguire verse instead of pulling those characters and putting them into our universe. I think it might be him jumping around. Maybe even he jumps into the Morbius/Venom verse. Who knows? Anyway, all that being said, I like the title. It makes me very interested. I like the idea of our Peter, Tom Holland, traveling to other multiverses than the other way around. Thomas, Eric Selvig, what do you think?
I don't have enough shoes. First off, I have far not enough shoes to explain all of the Thories bouncing around the realities of my brain. First question, how do I like the title? I absolutely love it. It makes sense. It fits. It's just based off the title alone. You're like, all right, well, we're on the run.
Yeah.
Which
exactly.
is,
excites me.
Spider on the run. Spider on the run. So it's on the run. It's a Christmas movie, which, again, I think it's right next to me, right over here somewhere in that picture.
There's Home Alone.
Home Alone, and they're like copyright issues. So love that. What do I think it means? Okay, so I'm going to agree with you guys on it. It's a layered meaning. First off, again, he's on the run. Second off, I do have the feeling that I like your theory, David, that he's the one bouncing around the universes, which is something that I thought might happen in this movie because it was originally set after Multiverse of Madness. And I've been worried since they announced that deal that in his two movies, if one of them is Multiverse of Madness, they're going to write him out of the MCU.
Right.
Now I'm wondering if it's going to be the other way around and they actually are going to write the Sony people in because they have that ability now with the multiverse. So now they can pick and choose. We'll talk about Nexus beings later because I have big thoughts on that. But when it comes to the plot, I think that he's going to be on the run in multiple ways. He probably will go through dimensions. I love this because people are speculating that this picture has Doctor Strange coming to them, which I could very much see. We know Strange is involved. We know Wanda is involved in a loose fashion, at least. So it's clearly going to tie some things together. And remember, one of my theories is no more multiverse, which then all of those characters, when they crash into the one universe they have to crash into, would have, what would it be, David? No Way Home. Now, here's why I'm very excited about this title. If we look at every single one of these and we look at the color patterns, that is the most important thing to me. In one, how they were released, I'm pretty sure was Phone Home, Home Wrecker, then Home Slice, right?
Yes.
All right, so we've got this green and yellow, obviously fans of the 90s Spider-Man, I think Doc Ock. Now, this silver and blue and red, I don't honestly have an idea of what character that could be. Do either of you? Because I feel like these colors are important for a reason.
one thing I saw was that if you layered on top, if you put green first, then the pink one second, then the iron, like the silver one bottom, it almost made the color palette of Goblin on his like glider, which I thought was pretty which I thought was interesting, but individual character, not really for the silver one. No.
Yeah. Now the second one definitely reminds me of Mephisto, even if he, Mysterio, even if he doesn't have a lot of purple in there. I think that's a clear nod to him because of the duality of the bottom looks like Iron Man colors and the top looks like not Iron Man colors. And how it's like, it's tainted in how it goes. Now, the one that really surprises me, and it didn't surprise me at first, but now having seen the way that they reblended out of this section right here, you know, how we just glitched, if you will, really makes me think, okay. And if you look, you can't really see it in the photos, but they have the dimensional dots that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse had. And I don't believe, I could be wrong, the other Spider-Man logos of Homecoming and Far From Home have that.
Right.
What does this mean? I know everyone is asking. Well, I believe that we are going to get a much larger piece of the multiverse in this movie than we thought.
And
we are going to get a genuine Sinister Six.
And
I hope we get Kraven.
And
Willem Dafoe.
And
me. Frack it. I want to cast myself in this movie. I want to be in it. No, I genuinely think that the reasonings why he's going to go into the multiverse is going to be partially because of Wanda, partially because of what is going on with him. And I also think it's going to go so south so fast.
Yeah.
That all we're going to have to do, all we're going to be able to say is just, you know.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
That's going to be Peter at the end of this movie.
I got a bad feeling it's going to be all of us at the end of this movie.
I mean, there is part of me that doesn't want the movie to end on a bad foot, but it also would really excite me if he is. That's when he's stuck.
Infinity War.
Exactly. Like there's a chance he gets stuck halfway through in the multiverse and then finds his way out. And then, you know, maybe Doctor Strange shows up, saves him, but then when they get back, everything's just going to hell. And then that's where you set up Multiverse of Madness. Who knows? I think it's clear that this movie is going to mess with the multiverse. I think what's most important about this film so far that I think not a lot of people talk about, even though everyone just assumes like Garfield and Maguire are in it, there's really been no going into Homecoming and Far From Home. We knew the villains, we knew Vulture, and we knew Mysterio. This film does not have a villain that's like, oh, here's the new introduction villain that's going to be in this film that's new to the MCU. There's none of that. There was a big rumor it was Kraven, but now we're getting reports. You know, Illuminati posted that possibly that John Wick's going to be Kraven in a solo Sony film, which is the complete opposite of him being a villain in this film. So I think that this movie is going to have a very interesting. What's up, Thomas?
Well, look at what they're doing with Monica Rambeau and WandaVision. They could very easily be like, oh, by the way, Keanu Reeves. And he's just like, I will kill the spider. And then he's like, oh, the spider's good. I'm not killing the spider. And then he goes and gets his solo movie.
Maybe that'd be WandaVision's big cameo. Is Keanu Reeves is Kraven.
Yeah, I mean, Sparky's dead. So, anyway.
Wait, why would you bring that up, dude? We were
John Wick, he loves to avenge dead dogs, so it makes sense. Then all right, bottom line, we can move on. But the thing is, I am, as a Spider-Man fan, I am so excited for this. I know because it's Sony, we're going to get more marketing as the time goes on. Because right now in the MCU, because of everything with COVID, you know, Sony can be confident that, hey, in December, this is coming out in theaters only. You better be there because things will be, I guess, okay by then, they assume. But for other movies, not so much. We've got nothing from Shang-Chi yet. They talked about earlier today that Black Widow, they're going to re-up the marketing and they're going to show new stuff and they're going to market it in a different way because they completely paused it when they got canceled, delayed the first time. Nothing for Eternals. So there's properties that in the MCU that are coming up, especially films like Eternals and Shang-Chi, where we've seen nothing of them yet. And we know Spider-Man because it's Sony and because it's Spider-Man, we're going to get more of it. But I hope we don't see too much in the marketing because we're 10 months out and it's beginning. We are in the marketing time for this film. And with that, we can move on to something that really relates to this previous story with Spider-Man. New York City theaters, well, New York theaters in general, are supposed to be opening up. So let's get into it, Thomas. If you want to open up the article.
Okay, I do.
Yes.
Quick question.
Sure.
How about this breaking news at the top of Deadline? Halo TV series moves from Showtime to Paramount Plus.
Wow.
I didn't even know that was in development.
I had heard a little bit about that. I'm not a Halo guy, but I could see where that's going to bring a lot of people to Paramount Plus, along with the news earlier with how they're going to put movies 45 days after theatrical release onto the streaming service. Anyway, wow, yeah, breaking news. So here we go. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo on Monday said movie theaters in New York City will be brought into line with the rest of New York State as of March 5th, when they will be allowed to reopen at 25% capacity with no more than 50 people per screen, 50 people per seat, per screen, masks, social distancing, and other protocols. The guidelines include air filtration and purification standards previously specified by the Department of Health. Officials of Cuomo's press briefing today said no COVID-19 testing will be required, as is the case for large areas like Madison Square Garden and the Barclays Center that can reopen later in February. Cinemas in New York City will follow the same guidance put in for movie theaters in the rest of New York State back in October. So yes, New York City very soon is going to be reopening their theaters. It'll be just in time. Well, sort of just in time. It'll be the month of Kong versus Godzilla, which is one of the biggest movies coming. It's like the first kind of big, quote unquote, blockbuster film that's coming out, even though it's also coming out on HBO Max. But the point of this story that's so interesting and gives us, film fans, I don't know what you think, John Ross, but me and Thomas are theater purists, I guess. We love the theater. AMC A-List, Regal Unlimited, like those kinds of members that would go, like typically I would go, I would say on average 2 times a week, sometimes 3, sometimes 1, so I'd say 2 would be the average. But normally at least 1 time a week, I'd be going to a theater just to see something or rewatch anything. And for a year now, basically, there was a little moment when I got to go into the theater and saw New Mutants, and I rewatched. It was cool. I got to see.
So sorry.
Yeah, thanks. I got to see Empire Strikes Back in theaters. That was cool. And then I saw Tenet also in theaters. So that was back in August or whatever. But anyway, besides that, theaters have basically been closed for a year, and the studios want to get back in the theaters, and so do fans. And this is a huge New York City. New York and LA are the 2 major markets for theaters. So this is big news, and I'm hoping, my personal thoughts, I'm hoping this really helps Black Widow stick to that May 7th release date. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm at the point where I wish Disney would stick with May 7th and then just do day and date with Disney Plus Premier Access, because not everyone by May 7th is going to be rushing out to a theater. They know that. I'm seeing people that on Twitter that are saying for Spider-Man that comes out in December, they don't want to go see it in theaters. Like when it said only in theaters, they were like, I want to see it at home. And that's in December.
Right.
May is a couple months away. So they need to think long and hard about what they're going to do with these movies coming out. Anyway, guys, you see New York City, the theaters are opening back up. We're getting some movement with the theaters. Hopefully, I'm a Regal member up here in Gainesville, Florida. I hope that this leads to primarily Black Widow staying at May 7th. But what do you guys think about the theaters opening back up? And I guess just what it could mean for theatrical movies that are supposed to be releasing later in 2021. John Ross, we can start with you.
I definitely think it's positive, like you were saying, for the certainty of Black Widow sticking to this, the most recent release date that they've given it.
Yeah.
To your point about people, not wanting to go to a theater, 10 months from now. I don't think that's going to change. I think this past year has really kind of shocked people into a new behavior and a new way of living, to where I hate to be so pessimistic, but I don't know if we'll ever get back to exactly the way it was before in this sense, because movie theaters are dirty, man. I mean, I'm a theater junkie too. I was part of Movie Pass when that was a thing.
Yes.
Yeah, but before everyone realized how terrible of a decision that was. So I get the thrill of the movies. I truly believe Marvel Studios, all their productions are made for a theatrical release. And that can even be argued about what we've seen in WandaVision. I mean, some of that cinematography rivals some of their biggest productions. So,
I would love to see WandaVision on a big screen.
Right. Yeah, at least have the opportunity to, So, but that's the point I wanted to get to, was that for Disney, it's a money thing. It's all about the money right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're having a hard time coming to terms with, no matter what release date you give this film, it's still not going to have the theater turnout that you want. Because Disney Plus is a thing now. This is the first movie that will be released since Disney Plus launched. So, I mean, there's always going to be that crowd that wants the premiere access now, because it's just easier, it's simpler to them, it's safer, and it's overall better, right? So, I agree that I think it's a good sign for Black Widow, but I still think that they need to have that conversation at Disney. That it really is the new age.
Yeah, and I think we're not really getting to it because it came out late, but the Paramount Plus news coming out where James Bond and James Bond Mission Impossible, Thomas, I think they're going to come out.
Mission Impossible.
Yeah,
one of my favorite franchises ever. Yeah. That was actually good news to me. I was happy about that. But
I mean, I think it's a plan, right? Like, we need these sort of hybrid, these new plans. Like you're saying, John Ross, it's going to be, I don't think, because 2019 set box office records all time, just point blank. It might just, that record may never move because of what's going on and the way things are changing. And I think a lot of people will wait 45 days. A lot of people aren't in the sphere that we are, as me and John Ross, writing about entertainment, writing about these movies, Thomas being an actor, a crazy movie fan. Not everyone's like that. Most people are casual. Like my girlfriend, she's not chewing at the bit for any movie to come out. Like me, there's a date. All right, I'm excited. I'm gonna try to go that Thursday night. Just because I like being there opening night, and you'll be with some real fans. I miss that so much just talking about it. But anyway, it's so depressing. But I think people would wait 45 days, like Paramount. I think Disney should come out with something similar. Do something with Disney Plus. Disney Plus is thriving. So many people are using the service. It's bringing you so much money. It's direct to consumer. I think so many people, compared to what was it? It was Mulan, and then it's going to be Raya coming out in March. Is the premiere access?
Right.
Black Widow should, and maybe even Shang-Chi should be the Raya premiere access, deal, because so many people that are fans of this were going to want to see it, but are not going to want to go into a theater. You have to give them that option, in my opinion. But this news, talking about this, back to the New York news, it is positive for us that want to see movies start coming out, because it's been basically a year without them. Thomas, we've all talked. What are your thoughts on this?
It's about time.
Me and Thomas, much excitement for it. Okay, moving on to this was, this was kind of, it was a little awkward. I'm not gonna lie. This was a little awkward, this 2-day stretch. So what was it? It was Sunday night, maybe. The first report came out. Let's see. When was it?
It was the weekend. It was over the weekend.
That's it was over the weekend.
It was the weekend.
2 days ago. So anyway, I don't know how to say their name. Disney Insider, Disney Insider. I don't know. I can't say it. It's a good little name to read, but I can't say it aloud. Basically, Derek Cornell of this website, they said, here's what he wrote. We have exclusively learned that certain characters from Big Hero 6 will be making their live action debut in the MCU. We're not sure on who will be coming, but we can at least expect Baymax and Hero. Okay, so the world goes nuts. Rewrite it on the direct.com. Everyone's like, I'm so confused. Like, why is Big Hero 6 going to be in the MCU? Like, maybe if it's a separate thing, that would be cool. I actually had some friends that were like excited about it. I'm like, what? My brain couldn't I just couldn't understand it. Update, the next day, Variety, freaking Variety, comes out and says, despite recent reports, however, Hero, Baymax, and the rest of the Big Hero 6 crew are not currently set to make their live-action debut within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Variety has confirmed with a source at the studio. So, some mixed reports here. It seems like it's not happening. But before, I'm going to ask you guys a question in a second. Before the update happened, and it seems like it's not actually happening, people were drawing some lines. Big Hero 6, the movie, is based off a Marvel comic, a Disney Marvel comic. There was a 2014 movie. There's a 2017 series that started in 2017. So I didn't even know about that. I've only really seen the movie like once. I think I'm not that big of a fan. So I was like, why is it coming to the MCU? They announced at the investor meeting just this past year that there's a Baymax series coming to Disney Plus. And there was some connections. Stan Lee made a cameo at the end of the film, which is very in Big Hero 6, which made people think, there's a real connection to the MCU here in Marvel. And then also it was a really fun thing people started to bring up was in 2015's Avengers Age of Ultron, Tony sifts through a series of AI programs. He was lying around featuring a few different Easter eggs, including Tadashi, a reference to Hiro Hamada's older brother, Tadashi Hamada. So anyway, there were some connections to Marvel, to the MCU. People were grasping at leaves, trying to find things. What did you guys think of this whole situation? And were you happy that it was going to happen? Are you relieved now? Are you upset now? Tom, let's start with you this time.
At first, I was all like,
My God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm! Wait. Calm down! No!
I was so ready. I was so hyped because I loved the movie. I didn't know there was a show, so I've not seen that. So I guess I'll be doing that soon. Because it just opens up so many possibilities that, hey, look, it's basically doing what Into the Spider-Verse wanted to do, and what Sony is ultimately wanting to do is blend the live action and the animated movies together. Because why wouldn't you? And if Marvel was able to do that before Sony, talk about making Spuckum look bad. Or Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters. Yeah, Sputnik, whatever it is. That's just too many syllables. That's too many letters. So I was excited about that. And then, it turns out they were all just
liar. Yeah. John Ross, what did you think of this whole situation? It was a very interesting 24 hours.
I mean, what a fever dream that was for the past couple of days. I mean, to get that news out of nowhere. I mean, they told us a scoop was coming earlier that day. They're like, hey, we got some news to tell you, and it's exciting. And I was like, all right, I hope it's Spider-Man related, or I hope it's about one of the Disney Plus shows. And then they're like, Big Hero 6 is going to be in the MCU. And you get that news, and you're like, what do I do with this? Because I couldn't even begin to know what to expect from news like that. And with the Baymax series that was just announced, it confused me even more because if they were going to put Big Hero 6 in the MCU, they're more likely to use the Marvel Comics, iteration of them, or at least a version of it, rather than the very, kind of watered down animated, and I don't mean this in an insulting way, but childish version of these characters that were used in Big Hero 6. And I don't know. I don't know. I didn't know what to make of it. I still didn't, even if it were true, I don't know how I would feel about it. I'd have to see it,
Yeah, me too. And I think the thing that didn't sit right with me is is this really Kevin Feige's master plan? Bringing Big Hero 6 in? It just seems so out of left field and out of pocket. There's so many characters that I would like to see in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. From the mutants, the X-Men. They have a plethora of characters now since acquiring Fox. All these mutants. Thank you, Thomas.
Should have played that when he said New Mutants too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna save that song now.
Really? The thing is, it just didn't make ever sense to me. It never made sense to me, and I'm happy it doesn't seem like it's happening because I was never really with it. It would have taken a lot of convincing for me to get with it. I'm sure it would have because it is the MCU. It would have been Kevin Feige, Disney. I'm all into it, but this never made sense to me, and such a weird 24 hours and story beat. But
Right, what a curveball.
Yeah, honestly. We're ready for the other lightning news segment.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the fastest lightning news segment you'll ever have in your life. And then we're going to get slowed down like we always do. First up, Jennifer Lawrence as Sue Storm.
I declare bankruptcy!
There's an awkward moment because that wasn't what I meant to play.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
And I don't mean that in any way other than I just don't like her being that character. I feel like there's someone else she would be better in. Back to the news. From the Direct's Tom Drew, recent rumors suggested that X-Men star Jennifer Lawrence would be heading to Australia next month to begin filming the upcoming Fantastic Four flick, causing confusion and excitement regarding her potential casting. According to a tweet from Justin Kroll of Deadline, Marvel Studios has just started meeting with writers for Fantastic Four, with the film reportedly without a script at the moment. Kroll continues to say that it will be some time before the movie begins production. Shocking.
Thomas, we can't see you. But anyway.
Why?
Okay,
Back to it.
Everybody say, no, God! No, God, please!
But anyway, yeah, I'm not. So yeah, this report comes out. It seemed bogus, especially because, like they pointed out, heading to Australia next month, start filming this. John Watts, who's directing this film, is still directing Spider-Man: No Way Home, which is so fun that there's actually a title for it now.
You can say it now, yeah.
Yeah. But Jennifer Lawrence playing Sue Storm. First off, I don't love that casting. I didn't really love her as Mystique. I thought she was okay. I've liked her in other things I've seen her in, specifically Hunger Games. I think she's great in that. But I think I liked Mystique most in First Class. I think it is the first one she's in. Yeah. But anyway, I don't really get it. I think that would also be another weird connection, almost Evan Peters-ish, when it comes to bringing like a Fox actor over and doing a new character. I'm glad they pointed this out, Justin Kroll from Deadline, because I was never with it. John Ross, do you have any thoughts on this rumored casting?
Yeah. Here, I'm going to move my mic closer so this is made perfectly clear. Hey. No. All right. There's so much you could do so much better. I saw someone talk about this on Twitter. They went crazy about this because they lit up whoever originally reported this.
Yeah.
This is Marvel's first family, okay? We haven't had a good Fantastic Four movie, arguably ever. I love the originals. I love the casting. I love the actors. I love the story, the plot, everything. But you got to admit, those are movies of the olden days, okay? This is 2021, all right? This is the Fantastic Four finally getting back to where they should be, joining the MCU, linking up with, literally hundreds of characters now at their disposal that they could put together with the Fantastic Four. So many stories you can explore with the Future Foundation, with Spider-Man, or their relationship with the X-Men or against the X-Men. And you're choosing Jennifer Lawrence, thank you, to play the invisible what? I couldn't even wrap my head around why someone would accept this as a rumor, because it just doesn't make sense to me. That this is supposed to be one of the most badass females you'll ever meet, married to one of the smartest people alive, and sister to, well, I'm a huge Human Torch fan, so yeah. I'm not gonna. If you can't tell by now, I'm super biased about the Fantastic Four. Yeah. I've been waiting for this moment for as long as the MCU's been a thing.
Yeah, me too.
If I honestly believe that the MCU, if they had all the character rights at that time, they should have launched it with the Fantastic Four. Yeah. That's how important I think they are to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So to say some and I'm not gonna say this like some B-list actress who is a has-been. She's a has-been. What has she done that you've enjoyed since Hunger Games? Honestly, and she was okay as Mystique, but the old actress was better. And that's all I'll say.
Not a fan of this rumor.
In case you couldn't tell.
No.
Reporter voice. Magic Kingdom TV universe from the Hollywood Reporter. Disney is ready to bring the characters from its theme parks and classic films to life in a new way. The media giant is teaming with For All Mankind creator Ron Moore. Also, Hard Tangent Battlestar Galactica creator Ron Moore to develop a franchise for streaming Disney Plus that is set in Disney's beloved Magic Kingdom. The first project in the works as part of the so-called Magic Kingdom universe is the Society of Explorers and Adventurers, which is set in a world where all the theme lands and characters of the Disney parks and classic films actually exist in another reality. My first statement to say, pretty sure this is like the exact same show that Kevin Smith was pitching a couple years ago or whatever it was that he's talking about on his podcast. It sounds the exact same. Now, I love Kevin Smith, but I love Battlestar Galactica more. I think even Kevin Smith will be okay with this.
Yeah. I thought, I threw this in here just because I love Disney and Disney World. Going there my entire I love Disney, bottom line. And this is interesting to me. It's something that maybe me and Jasmine will watch or, something like that. It's a Disney Plus show. It excites me. This is I think it's just such it's so telling of Disney. They're like, all right, what do we have that's interesting? Let's make a show about that for Disney Plus. And they're going to produce this. And I like how it's fictional. I like how it's like literal fantasy land. And I don't know, John Ross, you have any thoughts on this story?
I really don't. It's just because I don't know really what to expect. But that doesn't mean I'm turning away from it. I'm very open to whatever they're planning with this.
Yeah, I like that they're building a quote unquote like Magic Kingdom TV universe.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
It's a very Disney move
because every Disney movie so like they all connect to each other a little bit. Like they make references to each other, but they're all separate. It'd be really cool to have one cohesive, just long form storytelling where it can kind of bring in everything they've done. So it's cool. It's cool. I don't know what to expect, but it's cool.
Yeah, me neither. All right.
Moving on. Up next we have Groot. Okay, listen. Honestly, guys, I don't understand why anyone thought this would ever be a thing, but no more Groot via the directs Richard Nebens. Anybody know how to pronounce that? Nebens. Via the directs Richard Nebens in a Q&A session on his most recent Instagram story, Guardians of the Galaxy director James Gunn was asked if Adult Groot will make a return in the MCU. Gunn replied that Adult Groot is no longer with us and that it's unlikely he will come back unless there is a prequel of some type. Sadly, that original Groot, you put the whole quote right back in there. You confused the hell out of me. Anyways, my response, duh. We fans asking, no offense, guys, but did anyone expect Adult Groot to ever come back?
I kind of did. I mean, he's going to keep growing up. We've got baby. We had
if he lives.
Thanks.
Kill him again.
I was thinking maybe we get like young adult Groot. I would love to see a fully formed size Groot again because I like, it's cute him being small and obviously his arm is Stormbreaker and he served that purpose, but I absolutely loved Groot in the first Guardians of the Galaxy. And to me personally, he hasn't been quite the same character since, obviously physically, but I think just as the impact.
I declare
what?
Bankruptcy!
I didn't even touch anything.
Okay.
Ghost.
Anyway, I would have liked to see this happen. John Ross, you have any comments on this?
Yeah, I don't really get it because Vin Diesel, when they asked him how Groot was going to be in his next appearance, all he said was Alpha Groot. And that kind of made me go, okay, so we will see adult Groot again. So so are we never going to see Groot in his, strongest form again, or what's happening?
It's important to note exactly what he said. Sadly, that original Groot is no longer with us. So unless there is a prequel of some type, we won't see him again. It's about the character from the first Guardians. Technically, we find out that Baby Groot is a totally different version of Groot than that Groot. They have different personalities. So in essence, they are different characters.
Right.
I think that's what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Which is why I was like,
so there's
yeah.
So they're more saying that specific iteration of Groot, like it. Okay.
That's how I took it.
So it's the name thing, really. It's that they're both called Groot that is throwing people off then.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can take it either way. I think the way Richard wrote it was that, you know, the Groot's not coming back, and that adult Groot is not coming back essentially. But I could see where James Gunn was kind of like, it could have been a shrewd little comment saying like, oh, that Groot's not coming back, but potentially it is a bigger, maybe it's a young adult Groot. We don't know how old the original Groot was. But yeah, moving right along.
That's true. Yep.
This one, Tom Holland auditioned for Finn from the directs David Thompson. I know him. That's him right there. Look at that guy. Tom Holland recently spoke with Backstage and revealed that he auditioned for Finn in Star Wars The Force Awakens. Backstage asked Holland for an audition horror story where he revealed he read lines for John Boyega's eventual role. Here is his full response. I've had quite a few. I read the wrong lines at the wrong audition before. I remember my audition for Star Wars. I was like 4 or 5 auditions in, and I think I was auditioning for John Boyega's role. I remember doing the scene with this lady, bless her. She was just a drone. So I was doing all of this, like, we got to get back to the ship. And she was like, bleep, bloop, bloop, bleep, bloop, bloop. I just couldn't stop laughing. I found it so funny, and I felt really bad because she was really trying hard to be a convincing android or drone or whatever they're called. Yeah, obviously I didn't get that part. That wasn't my best moment.
Yeah, so I wrote up this article. It was very funny interview that who was it again? It was shoot, I just messed up where I was. Oops, I can't. Backstage. I'm so sorry. Backstage had this interview with Tom Holland. No one knew he interviewed or he auditioned for Finn. I thought that was the biggest news coming out of it. Was like, yeah, he messed up the audition, but it's like, holy crap. I mean, I wrote in the art like that could have been that's a pivotal moment in his career. Imagine if he landed that gig. First off, I can't imagine that character not being John Boyega, because I think Boyega does a great job as Finn. I think he just wasn't written that well, especially in the.
He deserves more.
I agree, especially in the second 2 films. I think he was really set up so well, and then they didn't really execute on what his character could have been. But I mean, if he was auditioning for this, he was very young. Holland was. This was before Spider-Man. If he had gotten this, he probably would never become Spider-Man. I mean, it's a huge moment in just like our Star Wars, Marvel love and lives. John Ross, any thoughts on this one?
I just can't picture it without laughing, honestly. Like, all I'll say is Finn would have had a much, much bigger role in those movies if it was Tom Holland.
Yeah, that's the sad truth, right? And someone brought that up, and it's like, yeah, it definitely would have, which is messed up.
But no, other than that, I got nothing to say.
Yeah.
Moving right along, we have Joker Jesus, or is it Jesus Joker? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Snyder Cut released images, and this is the only one that I liked.
I mean, this was the most eye-catching, I would say. I just don't. What is Joker's role in this film? That's my only question.
He is obviously the messiah of the former life of society.
That's a little too philosophical for me.
He literally starts at that part in the trailer where he's like, "We live in a society where." No, it's technically we used to live in a society, but whatever. And he's like, where honor meant stuff and integrity.
I don't know.
Right, Batman. Like, he's going to be preaching because he started it all.
Okay. Maybe. I don't know.
Chaos.
In my opinion, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. It's like, all right, what are we doing here? John Ross, do you have any thoughts on this one? None at all. I think we're all just kind of ready for this cut to be over in a way.
I'm ready for it to come out so I can stop hearing about it. Hasn't even. I'll watch it to give it a chance.
Yeah,
I'm so tired of this. It's because it's been years. We're part of that fandom that's been hearing about it this whole time. It's not something that just pops up every once in a while for us. It's constant, and especially after this image, that's just offensive. I'm tired of it. I'm done with it.
All right.
Then
more
moving
pictures.
right along, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I don't know how this is this should not have been lightning news, but it is. Okay, so here we go. Bam, Sam has a shield in a tree. Bam, Sam is in a really weird place. Maybe Captain America's dead. Maybe he's not. I don't know. Will they kill Steve Rogers? If they do, I'll die. Anyways, back to the plot.
Okay.
He's got funeral clothes on. He's got the shield. Maybe this is after who the hell knows. Moving on, Bucky, looking like Bucky. The back of Bucky and Falcon. The front of Falcon and Bucky. Thank you. Yes, they were in their armored gear. They were ready for fights. Standing in a hospital. Then they're standing next to each other on a boat, which I should have teed up. I'm on a boat, but I didn't even think about that until right now. That's a bummer. And then, oh, wait a minute. Did you fix this photo, David?
What's wrong?
I'm pretty sure that he doesn't actually have his left hand in his makeup. Okay. Yeah, so then we have this amazing photo that just screams, hey, we weren't paying attention to this photo because his hand is real in this at the bottom of that gun on the left.
Yeah.
That's the pictures of Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
But so let's get to the most important stuff after that.
Yeah.
Unless you had questions based on photos.
Well, I think just one thing I wanted to point out was that one shot of Sam holding Cap's shield and he's like in a bed. Yeah, that one.
Mm-hmm. In the bedroom.
This to me, yeah, it seems like in this film, based on the Super Bowl trailer and other things, that there might be a Captain America funeral / memorial service for like in the universe, like the government way of handling it could be that Captain America is dead. You know, to the public, that Captain America died along with Tony Stark. I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think that could be an interesting way of driving this story forward. And I like the idea that the show opens up with that service or memorial or whatever it's going to be, and then it really, right from the get-go, it could just tell us this is a continuation of the Captain America story. Like, here we go. Like, it starts off right with his funeral, quote unquote.
Okay. Yeah. Now, let's get to the stuff at the bottom. You wanted me to read all this?
The notes?
Yeah, I'm going to try and do it in one breath. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
Loki begins June 11th. Feige says, what if will premiere soon after? What is soon after? I don't know. My only take on this, we are not getting Marvel every week, and now I'm pissed! They have lied to me, and I'm upset. Back to the plot. Miss Marvel and Hawkeye are filming. Shocking. In a few weeks, we start She-Hulk, and soon after, Moon Knight. That's from Feige. On only some Disney Plus shows will receive a second season. I'm looking at you, brother. Swapping WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier had no impact thanks to their distinct stories. Feige mentions they're working on Deadpool, obviously developing, not filming. And again, shut up, producer. And again says they won't mess with the tone and R-rated style. Says they would be open for discussion if more adult and content came up, but hasn't so far. What about Blade? Anyways, back to the plot.
Yeah, that's a big question.
Which really, if that's not rated R, you have failed us all there, Feige. I'll say it here. I'll say it now. On rumors of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. characters returning, Feige says there are often rumors that are true, and there are often rumors that are not true. Thank you, John Madden. It was great to have. It was great fun to have Clark Gregg come back to the MCU in Captain Marvel. ... Everything else we'll just see. Ooh, so much speculation. Feige says they've had lots of discussions with Sam Raimi and the entire team of Doctor Strange 2 about making sure the movie works for people who both did and did not see WandaVision, knowing that some won't have seen everything. So it's important that they know that.
So I had a few things I wanted to point out of this. I get that's mostly from Eric Goldman on Twitter. This was a breakdown of Feige's quotes from TCA 21 that happened today. So yeah, Loki, obviously, that's the headline story. Loki starts June 11th, which is like a month after Black Widow. I like that. It's 4 days for my birthday, so happy birthday to me when that comes along. So I'm excited for that. What's curious is that it will maybe come out, like there could be a Friday where it comes out along with Shang-Chi. That could get funky. But anyway, what I wanted to point out specifically was what you already said, Thomas, was that this might mean that Blade is PG-13. Because it seems like Feige is like, all right, we're going to let Deadpool be Deadpool and everything else will be PG-13, typical MCU stuff, which may include S.H.I.E.L.D. or may include Blade. And then Agents of Shield, you know, I got into this conversation. I think me and John Ross both did with some Agent of Shield stands a little while ago, and it's like I had no idea people like that show so much and all this, but
they're aggressive.
Liar. They are aggressive, and I don't really understand because like I never want to take away from
faith disturbing.
I never want to take away from anyone's enjoyment of anything. I just see it. I just call it as I see it. Like the MCU does not reference Shield, Agents of Shield, and Agents of Shield references the MCU. Like it is what it is. I don't care if it's canon personally, but you know, I like how there's still this. Feige's like, I don't know, maybe it will happen. He's still leaving it very up. You know, who knows what's really going to happen. But I did want to point out that I think what he said about WandaVision and Doctor Strange is that I think we should expect WandaVision to lead directly into Doctor Strange, but Doctor Strange not rely on WandaVision much. So however the film or the show ends, it'll just be a part of Doctor Strange. This is not Doctor Strange Part 1, I guess, if you know what I'm saying. Like the fact that he said, like, you know, if you could go see Doctor Strange and it would be perfectly fine, means that not every little bit of this film is going to be, you know, or the show, sorry, is going to be meaningful for that movie coming out. John Ross, do you have any comments on any of this fun, interesting stuff?
Yeah, since you asked. So the first thing I want to touch on is Thomas's comment that we're not going to have Marvel every Friday. That was just a horrible expectation to set. And even if they didn't set that expectation, they also didn't shut it down. So like, they let us roll with that for a bit. So I get it, because let's say Shang-Chi comes out, they're not going to want you distracted by Disney Plus every Friday if they want you to go see a movie that weekend, you know? So I get it. Like that part makes sense to me, but the constant stream of new content, I mean, obviously we can handle it. We're here for it. You know, most people listening to this, they're here for it, but it's always hard to step back and kind of consider that wider audience that's way more casual, because that's where the money is. They want to reach as many people as possible, and that kind of plays into the R rating thing too. Is when people see MCU, they see something that, you know, they could take the whole family to see,
friendly.
You know, like growing up, my family had a tradition. Every Mother's Day, we'd go see a Marvel movie, because every May there was a Marvel movie out, you know?
Right.
So like, I get it, but you're not even going to make one exception other than Deadpool? I mean, that just doesn't seem realistic. Especially with Blade, because that's already not a family movie, you know? So I do think, or I don't think that his comments about the R rating and everything actually hurts Blade's chances. I still think it very well could happen, just because that's still so far off and probably not even at the forefront of his mind with everything, you know, that's way closer than that, because that's after, you know, almost all of Phase 4. If it's not, is it even Phase 4? I think Blade might be Phase 5, right?
Well, it phases at this point. Who knows?
Yeah, right. Especially with the Disney Plus mixing in, but
exactly. Like I would say it's Phase 4 just because it was announced at 2019 Comic-Con, and that was like a Phase 4 announcement panel. But you know, shrug at this point. Phases to me, I think, are going to kind of go by the wayside in a lot of ways.
Right. And I want to say something about the whole second season thing. Is that I don't want, and I know this is going to happen, but I wish it didn't. Is that I personally don't think WandaVision will have a second season, because how could it?
I don't think so.
There's going to be a group of people that's upset by that, because they don't understand. I don't even want to say they don't understand. It's just that story, that just because it doesn't get a second season doesn't mean that story's over. That's the great thing about the way these Disney Plus shows are going to, you know, interlink with the feature films, is that this story is going to also further play out in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and also Spider-Man 3, and who knows where else, especially if it has multiverse implications. WandaVision could be the introduction of Phase 4. I know it wasn't supposed to be, but it is, so we have to deal with that. What if it is, you know, the introduction to the multiverse that's explored in, you know, way more projects than just a Doctor Strange in the Spider-Man movie, you know? So just because it doesn't get a second season doesn't mean it wasn't worth it. It could mean it's setting up, everything else where you'll see that story in several places at once.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I didn't even touch on that part where these shows shouldn't be viewed to people like even a Netflix show, not even a network television show. It's like, oh, they're going to re-up for a second season. Like, no, that's not how they're writing. These are, this isn't like TV networks making these shows. Like, oh, we have to do a pilot for this. No, like these are basically films on Disney Plus split into like 9 or 6 parts and longer. Like these aren't just regular old TV shows, I guess is my point. And I think that the shows that actually have less seasons could prove more pivotal to the overall MCU. Because if you're having multiple seasons, that means you're kind of doing your own thing. Such as Loki. It could have its own effects on the rest of the MCU, but we can already tell it's going to be its own adventure in a lot of ways. Maybe, it's all connected, but I think that's going to be its own fun story that's just going to be a joy to watch because Tom Hiddleston is amazing. Thomas, do you have any more thoughts before we move on to WandaVision?
No. We gotta take a break though, actually. What I really do want to say is our comments are popping, and because I got booted and had to come back, I can't actually see all of them. I can only go back to the YouTubes are the ones that stay. So 529 is the first Facebook comment I have. There was a lot of titles that people made up in there. So I'm gonna pop up a few of my favorites. First off, from Leah Jones. I met her through following Return of the Pod and Job of the Pod because we're nerds, Star Wars life. And she hosts the podcast She Will Rock You, all about music. It's fantastic. She says, Spider-Man, stay home and wear your mask. Willow says that, that's the wrong one. She thought Homewrecker was great.
Yeah. Someone else said that. I forget who was talking
I
liked Homewrecker.
Yeah,
Here we go.
Was a good one.
Terry McIver, Spider-Man Home Cooking. That's a good one. I'm a big fan of that one there. David, do you have some of the other ones lined up? There was a few. There was a string.
Here's a really spicy one. Kyle said, "What's up, Thomas and David? What's up, man? Come on, dude. Doing a podcast. Thanks for joining us."
Yes, that's a social media guru and master, all living in Holland right now, I do believe. Kyle Nunez, he's joining us from Holland live. He's probably asleep now, along with Terry McIver, who's always with us in the comments. We have some really good stuff. Everyone has some fun theories about the logos for Spider-Man that came out.
Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything before where you were.
No, you're good. Here. Brian says green is for Goblin, silver is for Doc Ock, lavender Mysterio, the bluish is for Electro. He then says Scorpion.
Green?
Which could be the green.
Yeah. He's pretty much all green except for his red visor. So
yeah,
exactly. And he sometimes has some yellow sprinkled in depending on the variation that they use.
And there is a Scorpion in the MCU. Well, sort of. I mean, there is the character that introduced
Matt Gargan. Yeah. Why haven't we gotten back to him yet? What are they doing?
Well, Far From Home. I mean, to that point, John Ross, Far From Home was very much so like, if thinking about it, like, it's amazing that movie's as good as it is, in my opinion, because it's such it's small own little story. Because especially knowing where it takes place in the MCU timeline, it's kind of non-circumstantial in a lot of ways outside of Peter's story, which I enjoy. Of course, I love that. But it seems like Spider-Man 3 is going to have much more of an MCU impact. Wow, Far From Home was just more of a reactionary piece about Peter and about Iron Man dying and the blip and all that good stuff. And also a moneymaker for Sony. That's why they pump these out every 2 years. Any more in the comments?
No, that's it. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, everyone. Please don't change that dial like anyone's using dials. Journey of the Shadow, Darkness Falls continues the saga of Commander Simisu, the humanoid anomaly and the leader of the supernatural Sanzai warriors, as he seeks to stop an ancient evil from being resurrected on Earth. This evil, known as Niugo, succeeds the Novum goddesses, a sister deity triad who oversee the universe, will be in danger. but with the help of several extraterrestrial ladies and his friend Shujin, Shimizu discovers there is an unexpected enemy to contend with. Yoro, a formidable cursed swordsman with a short temper. Humanity is about to be collateral damage, and the clock is ticking. Zombies the movie is looking for friends and colleagues to help out with GoFundMe. A small-town coroner has to team up with her ex-fiancé to save her town from a swarm of mutant honeybees. There's action, drama, humor, maybe even a flamethrower or two. There's definitely a ton of bad bee puns and a very unlikely Hawaiian-wearing hero. This classic sci-fi feature cheese fest, written and directed by Alicia Marie and starring local talent from the Emerald Coast, invites you to join our journey from conception to reception by visiting linktree.com/zombies the movie to keep up with all the buzz and donate to GoFundMe. Again, that's linktree.com/zombies the movie, as seen on your screen. Inked Marketing provides solutions, marketing and design, Kickstarters, branding, audience building, and comic shop platform. Why do some of the greats in the comic book industry turn to Inked when they want a successful Kickstarter campaign? Because of our devotion to their success by offering marketing solutions that exceeded their expectations and Kickstarter funding goal. Inked Marketing will help you develop your marketing placement. Visit inked.marketing for more information. And we're back! All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for my favorite segment of the week, and that would be...
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's start it with that. So, as you guys know, the last few weeks, we've been doing it on Thursdays. This week we did it on a Wednesday, so this isn't the night before WandaVision, but it's right before. We've all watched it. We're all here. Full spoiler warning. Of course, we're going to dive deep into all of WandaVision, especially this previous episode and what could happen in the future. But we're going to pose some questions to us three here on the podcast. And you guys out there listening in the live comments, please give us your questions, or give us your answers, your questions too. But your answers to the questions we are about to pose. First one being, it was set up that Agatha is the big bad. It was told straight to our faces. It was Agatha all along, right? And this amazing song and montage sequence that I absolutely love and everyone else seemed to. But is Agatha really, truly, is how I would put this, the string puller? Is she the big bad? John Ross, I ask you this first. What are your thoughts?
No.
No.
No, I don't know. Because if you guys remember how they ended, I think it was episode 3 when Monica got freaking launched out of the hex. They closed that sequence with her looking straight into the camera and going, "It's all Wanda. It's all Wanda." And then, please stand by, the sequence we all hate to see. Now they ended right. Episode 7 with the same type of reveal, saying it's all Agatha, and showed a montage of her, messing with every single situation. So now we know it's not all Wanda.
Right.
And so although it's very obvious that Agatha has played a huge part in whatever she's doing in Westview, I still feel like this is a misdirect because they've still got the last 2 episodes and maybe the bonus episode, where if they made this reveal at the end of episode 7 after keeping it from us for so long, what in the world are we to expect from episodes 8 and 9, which are presumably longer than any previous episode? So I don't think she's as involved as I think she has a very specific agenda, which is what they're trying to get our focus on right now. But there's also other things going on because her reveal still doesn't explain half the stuff that's going on in Westview.
Yeah, I agree. I would say no, and I would say the only reason I would say that mostly is because I don't want it to be. That's a little too obvious to me. I loved the reveal. I think the way they did it made the reveal more exciting for people. But I think, especially us that really follow this, we kind of all assumed that she was Agatha Harkness all along from the very beginning. Like that was what everyone.
Exactly. Her name's Agnes. Come on.
It seems very on the nose. It seems like a character they would introduce. Her not being on that missing persons board to have a real world counterpart. I love Catherine Hahn in this. She is just awesome. Like, she's perfect for the role. She's really killing it. I love the acting in this in general. The show's just fantastic, but she's been great. I'm not really on the side where I hope it's Mephisto or Nightmare. I'm hoping that it's Wanda. And I think the reason, like, because we know, I can assume that Wanda kind of built the hex, and then Agatha just shows up, because we see that she just shows up and she's kind of like crashes the party in a sense. That's how it's portrayed anyway. I am just hoping that at the end of the day, maybe, who knows, maybe Agnes is kind of just an extension of Wanda in a lot of ways, because I still think that line in the latest episode where Monica asks her, like, you don't want to be the villain, and she's like, maybe I already am. To me, I'm like, yeah, please, because I want to see her be an antagonist in Doctor Strange, because I think that would be so fascinating and such an awesome way to end this, because this is not going to end well. How is this show going to end well? There's absolutely no chance unless they go super generic and super, she beats Agatha and we win. But like, what happened to Vision? Like, there's going to be more heartache for Wanda. Like, this entire Westview delusion she's made is fake, and it's going to poof away, pop, for instance, at some point. And I'm really hoping that it still means that WandaVision will be an antagonist in Doctor Strange, meaning that this whole Agatha addition and potential bad guy is just a part of it. Not that she is the main, say, string puller, as I posed it, like that she's the one doing everything, calling all the shots. She's like, it'll lead to a question in a little bit about Evan Peters, but like, making him pop up and all that stuff. Thomas, I asked this question. What is your answer, fine sir?
Short answer, no, she's not the string puller. We saw this coming from miles and miles away, and it's only just, again, if you've not read House of M, I haven't even read House of M, but I know what happens. Agatha's a huge part of that. She's a huge part of the creation of the kids. She's a huge part of why the kids disappear. Winky, winky. And she's a huge part of bringing Mephisto into a higher power. I'm with you, David. I really do hope that Wanda, like, I'm hoping that, I was pulling your strings, and then Wanda's like, haha, guess what? No, you weren't. Boom, I'm pulling your strings now.
Right.
But, especially considering that she got mind wiped or whatever it is with the purple energy into the head. She's now, like, it seems in control. I don't know if that was just implanting that intro into her head.
That's what I thought. When I was first watching it, it was like, she's just showing her like that it was Agatha all along, essentially. But I was listening to someone where it's like, the fact that Agatha has a theme song can lead you to believe that she's just a part of this one. It's so meta, but this WandaVision show that Wanda herself in the show is creating, like that. That's why she would have this show intro theme song. This show's so damn confusing to talk about because it's so like Russian doll, like doll within a doll within a doll.
That's why I love it.
No, it's great. That's why it's great to watch, but sometimes it's hard to explain theories. I just think that it'd be a little too easy. Like John Ross pointed out, we got plenty more of WandaVision to go. The next episode is reportedly going to be 47 minutes long.
Allegedly.
Yeah. We'll see.
Right.
Yes.
You know me. I love lyrics, right? And there were no lyrics in this week's intro, but there was lyrics in Agatha's song.
Right.
Who's been messing up everything? It was Agatha all along. I'm so sorry for everyone's ears. I thought my soundboard was ready and it didn't. It was not. There we go. Who's been pulling every evil string? It's been Agatha all along. She's insidious. She's perfidious. First off, I don't know what that word means, so rude.
I assume evil in some way.
I as well. That you haven't even noticed. And the pity is, pity. It's too late to fix anything. Now that everything has gone wrong. Thanks to Agatha. Ha. Naughty Agatha. Ha. It's been Agatha all along. And I killed Spocky too.
Yeah. I mean,
interesting. It is straight up just ham-fisting us in the face that it's Agatha. And I would love an entire show of Agatha Harkness just because of Catherine Hahn. what can I say? I love Han, but she's not the string puller. Which it's important to note that you said we'd get to this a little bit. Let's go ahead and jump to our next question, because here's why I don't think she's the string puller.
This question?
No. Oh, you moved it back. Oh, you know what? Fine. Go back. We're here. Yeah, no, the twins question. I was in the show notes, so I didn't realize that. Yeah, I moved it around. So yeah, there is somebody leaving messages in Wanda's specific intro. I pulled this specifically from the episode. I noticed it today. I know what you are doing, Wanda. Who is making that? Who is saying that? Is that just Vision leaving that? Is it Agnes leaving that? Is it somebody else? Is it Wanda leaving that to herself because her reality and her perception of everything? That's why I moved it to the bottom, because it was going to lead into the next week. But we're here now. It's just, is this her subconscious talking to her conscious,
right,
about being like, hey, we are not okay? Because all those interviews, she's like, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. And I'm like, oh my God, you sound like every woman in my life I've ever been with in my entire life, because they're not fine when they say they're fine. So I want to know who's leaving messages to Wanda in the intro. David, who do you think?
Like I said, I would like it to be Wanda in the way you were putting it. It's hard to say the whole conscious subconscious thing. I like that, but when we saw Wanda leave the Hex that one time, which was just amazing. First off, that scene is still like maybe my favorite in the entire show. Oh my gosh. Anyway, yeah, so good. But I think she was still with it. She's just like, get out of here. Like, this is my thing. Like, leave me alone. You're the ones with the guns. Like, just leave. We're not disturbing anyone. You're not messing up, even though she's holding all these people captive. But I don't know who's leaving people.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, it's fine. Vision's back. Everything's cool. I don't know necessarily who's leaving it. I don't really have a straight answer. I'm not going to lie. Maybe it is the ultimate string puller. Can you pull back up that image, Thomas? I wanted to read that. I know what you were doing, Wanda.
Do you notice how it's designed, by the way? Like a ransom note?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. John Ross, do you have any ideas? Because I really, I'm not sure if you had an answer.
See, I saw someone say that that this show is following Wanda's different stages of grief.
Yeah,
and that ties into that really well, because it ties into bargaining, where maybe it is really just her own subconscious, where she's bargaining with herself, saying, hey, trying to push off her conscious saying this is wrong, but it's actually her subconscious saying, hey, this is not right. You cannot keep doing this, because as much as she tries to avoid it, that notion keeps coming back up, whether it be from Vision or from Monica, or I guess even Hayward, is that there's no way around the fact that what she's doing isn't right. That little clip also reinforces that this broadcast is being made for Wanda. So that really does beg the question: is it Agatha doing? I know she was in the director's chair, which almost seemed like too in your face. Like it's her. I promise, she's the one doing it. Focus on her.
That is brilliant.
That makes me less certain that it's Agatha.
Right. And who's holding the camera that's pointing at her?
Exactly. Yes. Who's she looking back at? Right.
Yeah. Everybody knows that on any movie, any project, the director they got it all on set, but they still answer to somebody else. The producer answers to, the exec producer or the studio head, and they answer to the conglomerate head. So there's always there's always a bigger fish.
Right. The director's not the top top dog.
Yeah.
So she might be top dog inside the Hex
exactly
now.
Right. I mean, Kevin Feige walks on set. Who's in charge now?
Baby. Oh no, I don't have Snoke Thursday next to me to pull into the camera. I was gonna say Baby Yoda, but yeah, rip.
But yeah,
next question.
Who knows who's leaving the messages? But a bigger question to me is what happened to the twins? Where are the twins? Because obviously Agatha takes them, Agnes at that point takes them over to her house. They're sitting there. She's kind of taking care of them, blah, 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 blah. And then when the big reveal happens that she is Agatha Harkness, they're gone. So there's a lot of theories going around, including like the fly on the wall and Mr. Scratchy. And okay, I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? Anyone first?
John.
Go ahead.
Ross.
Go ahead, Thomas. You can take this one. Go ahead.
We have no idea.
Exactly.
Honestly, I watched it again today, and all I could think is, are the kids in that TV show? Did they go so effing meta that Wanda's created this TV show, and now the kids are like these anamorphic characters stuck in the other TV show of jump, 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 jump? Because it goes from the sandwiches, and it carries you up the TV. Now, granted, that's a drama shot of, okay, look, there's the food here. There's these chips. We scan up. Okay, there's kids show, right? But we, as small Marvel fans have learned, there's Easter eggs everywhere. So are they in the damn kids show? They are literally hidden within another pocket reality, within a pocket reality, within a pocket reality. It's Russian dolls, and I love it. I don't know where the kids are, though. I hope they're not dead, because I would ride or die like to save those kids, even from the devil himself. But
I'm fine if they're dead.
You sick son of a bitch.
I don't know. I think they're not going to get out of the hex, so I'm expecting them. In my mind, these kids are in some form like not actually real. That's how I've always perceived it watching the show. I've always thought that they're not leaving the hex. You know, Wiccan and Speed are just going to have this little cameo. It's not going to lead to a Young Avengers. That's just been my thoughts. I know people are getting excited about the idea of Young Avengers a lot. I'm not really. I think this is just a WandaVision thing. So where are they? Like Tom said, I don't know. I like the idea that Agatha like turned them into something else, though. Like maybe like the Fly, or like one of them is Senior Scratchy or something, or the sandwiches. I don't know. Because to me, I've never valued their lives, even in a way like I do Vision, where it's like I know that's like part of him. Because they popped out of nowhere. These aren't. They weren't there before. They're these babies that can grow and are magical, and I think it's a thing. I think these kids are just straight up just magical little beings that will not be able to leave the hex. John Ross, any thoughts?
I kind of agree with that. I like your idea that they're not all real and that they're kind of subject to the hex's reality.
Right.
So there's one interesting point, and I think it's like episode 4, maybe 5. It's whenever Monica's talking about the kids to Jimmy and Darcy. Jimmy says something about like, where did she get these kids from? And Monica goes, oh, they're real. You know, that like everything else, you know, it's all real. And that's what led her to kind of check out her clothing and how. Yeah. Right. But they never come back to the kids when that was the start of that conversation. And they kind of just operate off the notion that they're real based on Monica's very brief assessment. How does she know? I mean, I know she literally helped, you know, birth them, but and so she's probably like, oh, it's real, like, because she was there. But at the same time, is that all we get? Like, so how is she pregnant?
Exactly. That's the thing.
Magic.
Like exactly. So like off that point, John Ross, you know, how that conversation started with it being about the children, where they come from. Oh, they're real. And then they go and figure out that, oh, the stuff, like the fabric of reality of these different things, it gets twisted and changes for the
children.
Yeah, that's the whole thing too. And I think there could be a darker thing going on here with the children specifically because of all that. Like, you can't just make something out of nothing. And in this case, maybe they did to a certain degree, but I think where the kids are is going to be a big, like, the answer is going to be really revealing as to what's really going on in Westview. Because wherever they are, that means something. Like, that gives us real answers as to what they are, unless they're just like in the store. Like, they're just like in like the little broom closet. let us out.
They're just hiding in the corner. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, we got scared from the witch.
They're
Oh,
like,
no.
oh, this basement is not childproof.
But anyway, where they are, I don't know. But here's something else. Speaking of reveals, was that the big aerospace engineer reveal? And I'm gonna start with this one. So Major Goodner is the military person who was there. She knew Monica, and she was delivering this vehicle, trying to get her in the hex. Obviously, it doesn't work, and eventually Monica tries to get in there herself. She does, gets her powers. It's cool, in my opinion. But everyone is building up this huge aerospace engineer reveal, like, oh, we're gonna go see my guy, aerospace engineer, blah blah. I mean, everyone, especially just like the direct and just people really into it, are like, who is it? Like speculating, who could it be? And then the big one, obviously, was Reed Richards, especially John Krasinski as Reed Richards. Which, looking back now, I think that's, I mean, come on, if that actually happened, that would just be insane, especially in this show. But was that the engineer reveal? No, I don't think any of us are gonna think that actually was it, because that she didn't say she was an engineer, and it seemed like whoever made that vehicle wasn't there, and that was the aerospace engineer who made it, and that person wasn't there. So short answer is no, I do not believe so. But I won't lie, and I said this a few places, I was let down by that whole situation, where it's like, are they, because I think there's a chance we don't even get back to this story beat, where it felt like going into last episode, it was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna get this answer 100%, and then at least in my opinion, it was like, okay, like, who is, like, this, is this the person? Because everyone was hyped about seeing who this engineer was, and we didn't really find out who it was, and if that was her, then that wasn't anything of importance. So I don't know, what do you guys think of the reveal, and was that the big engineer? Thomas, can start with you.
If that's the engineer, she's not a human.
What?
That's all I'm saying. If that was the engineer, she's a Skrull. Like, the way, it's just their interaction. It's not a lot, but there's a clear history. So, like, she could be the engineer, but I don't think she's a human, because they seem to be about the same age. And then she says, my mother would appreciate your loyalty. She's not the only one we're loyal to.
Yeah.
Interesting situation. The way, especially Monica reacts to that was, like, okay,
right.
Is that Captain Marvel? Is that Monica? Is that someone else entirely? Like, what's going on with that interaction? I genuinely am not sure if that's the engineer, though.
Yeah.
Only because if it is, that's the best I got, and if it's not, okay, whatever. Let's figure out who that is.
John Ross, what do you think?
I 100% don't believe that was the engineer for several reasons. But I mean, my first piece of evidence is that Teyana Paris said, like, she told people she was excited for this reveal. Like, she's like, you guys are gonna freak out. This is gonna be awesome. I'm so looking forward to this.
Right.
That would have been the biggest flop in MCU history if that was the case. So I definitely don't think, I like your Skrull theory, though, because if there's anyone on Earth right now that has a solid relationship with Skrulls, it's her. Because she, I mean, how old was she in Captain Marvel? 9?
Yeah,
10?
like 10.
Or
yeah.
Something like that. It was somewhere between like 9 and 11. But if there's anyone they're gonna like have a good relationship with Skrulls, it's probably going to be her, because Nick Fury isn't even on Earth right now, and he was one of the only other humans to deal with him. Maria's not around anymore. So that, now who I think the engineer is, I don't know. I don't think it's Mr. Fantastic.
Me neither.
Just because, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, I feel like that's almost too small scale of a way to introduce him. I feel like it wouldn't be totally doing him justice. I would understand it as they want to kind of integrate them into the MCU before making their own thing, but I just don't see that happen. I would love if it's Blue Marvel, if it's Adam, and he already has that solid relationship with Monica, and he was the one to provide the equipment to try to get back in the Hex, but wasn't physically there. Who knows why, but maybe once he hears, wait, Monica's back in there. She went through the Hex. she went through the barrier a third time. Is she okay? What if that's what prompts him to be like, okay, I need to get over there and help my friend? And that's when we get the reveal, is when he hears, oh, the equipment I provided and had delivered didn't work. Really,
Right.
I mean, the Hex tore that rover apart like it was nothing.
Yeah.
It turned it into a half completely different vehicle, so it didn't work. So if I sent something somewhere and it did not have the effect I wanted it to, and the Hex also ate a very good friend of mine,
Right.
because my equipment didn't work, I'd probably head out there and see what's going on, even if it's just for Monica's own well-being.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Blue Marvel at this point would be the best case scenario. I mean, Mr. Fantastic would be very interesting, but I think Blue Marvel would be a really cool introduction in this show, like talking about scale. That would make sense. Not every fan would care or understand, but the ones that did would get excited and would know that he would have something more, a bigger future ahead of him.
You also have to consider who's playing him, because this could double as that big cameo that Paul Bettany was talking about. I saw someone say that Blue Marvel could be played by someone like Will Smith. Could you imagine if Will Smith showed up in WandaVision? I mean,
that would break the internet.
That would break the internet. That would break the internet. So I mean, I feel like there's still a lot left of that story to tell, and you could be right. It might be told elsewhere. It might not even be in WandaVision.
Yeah,
but,
I mean,
I like that notion a lot. I think there's a lot more to it, and I think they're dragging it out for a reason, because Blue Marvel is the only member of the Ultimates that hasn't been confirmed in any sense to be making an MCU appearance. You know, we've already had Black Panther and Captain Marvel and Monica Rambeau, and we'll have America Chavez. You know, so we've got the other members lined up. I mean, for the most part. But
sorry.
I like Blue Marvel's chances in this.
Yeah. Thomas, any more on this one?
From Terry, it's great that you pulled up the big cameo, because he thinks that we'll find out who the engineer actually is in Captain Marvel or another MCU project.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And that the Spanish subtitles had the female prefix for my guy, which is always a weird thing. And then he goes on to say that he believes the big reveal to be Nick Fury, director of S.W.O.R.D., or Mark Hamill as Mephisto. Imagine Elizabeth Olsen actually telling us the answer in plain sight.
That's the most ridiculous one I've seen. It's like, what if it's actually Mark Hamill? Like,
they're like,
I want to know the one that excites me the most, honestly, is the Mark Hamill one, because him as Mephisto just could just being. I mean, you gotta watch John Dross. Do you watch What We Do in the Shadows?
No. Should I be watching What You Do in the Shadows?
Honestly, yes. It is a fantastic. It's the show. The movie's made from Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement. Yes, and then the show is produced by Taika. Well, actually, the first season's all shot by Taika, directed by it, and then Jermaine is like the main producer and showrunner of it. So season 1 was really good. Season 2, Mark Hamill has a cameo as an old vampire, and the stuff that he does in that is basically just Mark Hamill being Mark Hamill and being an absolute ham and just having fun. And then it ends, and you're like, well, I want more of that character. Well, that very character dialed to the insanity of the Joker and what they're willing to do as Mephisto would be just absolutely great. And I need it injected into me. It's my lifeblood. Give me more Mark Hamill.
I'm not against it. I'm very open to whoever they cast as Mephisto, if they do. There's still no confirmation of Mephisto at all, by the way. We've been talking about it since episode 1, and they know it. They've been teasing us with it, but they have no way confirmed that he's ever appearing. So
I've thought about that. I can't imagine like being Feige and the showrunners or whatever, and thinking, seeing all these theories popping up because it's week to week. This isn't like, oh, the movie came out and everything's revealed. You know everything about this movie. It's like week to week, and you're like, oh man, like they don't know what's happening, or like, they nailed that one. I'm sure it's so fun to them just to like see all of us blabbering on the internet. Next question, a few more here. did Agatha help create Westview? And I said help because I think it's connected to our first question. I don't think she created it because I think Wanda did in some form or fashion, but help because it seemed, we see at the opening of that sequence, she lands and she seems to be in her full like witch outfit, which I really want to see the full decked out version of. First off, she lands, she turns in the 1950s version of Agnes, and she becomes the neighbor and starts helping Wanda. And it's like she's just there. Do you guys think in any way she helped Wanda do this? Because that's what she's been doing the entire show. She's been helping her out since the very beginning. And do you think why she doesn't remember it is because it was like, did she maybe know Agatha before Westview and now she's forgotten about her? I don't know. There's so much here that kind of was connected with our first question, but related just to the creation of Westview, that's one of the biggest questions to me is how it actually happened. And she's like, I don't know where it started. She says that in one of the episodes. She knows how to kind of control it now, but we don't know where and what. John Ross, what are your thoughts on this question?
I'm sorry, Matt's in here and he's asking when we're going to talk about Spider-Man 2. Get out of here, Matt. Go do your own podcast. But no, so I really don't know because someone put together a bunch of different screen grabs from the different episodes where Agatha does come in and help Wanda with something. And in each one, Wanda goes, Agnes, you're a lifesaver, word for word, each time.
Yeah. Yes, I saw that.
What's that about? Does she have something to do with Vision still being alive? Or does she have an ulterior motive where she's actually trying to save the life of someone else? Oh, there it is.
Matt's still in here. There you go, bud. There it is.
All right, there, we got it. There you go, buddy. So, no, with Agatha, I don't know because in that opening sequence of the intro, or I'm sorry, of Agatha's theme song, Agatha All Along, when she lands in front of Wanda's house in her full witch attire, in color, and then as she adapts to the environment, it goes black and white all around her because it's fully in color when she lands.
Right.
Just like the beekeeper when he entered the hex. Because when he came up out of the manhole, from his perspective, it was in color at first, and then it switched to the black and white style that the rest of the town was like. So that might be implying that when we see Agatha land in front of Wanda's house, that's her arrival to Westview. Because she even said in that sequence where she arrived at her door, hey, I'm the neighbor on the left, your left, not mine, or whatever.
Yeah.
She later on in the she's not her next door neighbor. So does she actually live in Westview? I don't think so. I think she's definitely an outsider.
Yeah. Ooh, that would be cool if she could leave and she could enter and come back, like leave and come back at will.
Because she landed on that street still in her form. And she doesn't seem to be influenced by Wanda at all.
Right. All right, Thomas, let's hear it.
All right, so she is an outsider. Her car, whenever we see it, it says Connecticut on the license plate. So it's believed that she, no, producer of Self, I will not stop talking. I actually do think that she's gonna be from Connecticut, and if that's the case and it's not the Salem witch trials, she's not someone from the Salem witch trials, but she's actually the very first witch to be convicted in all of the colonies. If that's the case, I recently read somewhere that might be in Connecticut, which, by the way, if you're ever having to sneeze, just say Connecticut over and over and it'll take it away. That's a little fun Thor node for you. But I think that that's the case. She's obviously a witch, which is fantastic. She's going to be from Connecticut. I do like the idea. Can she leave the hex? I don't think she helped create Westview.
Right.
But I'm very intrigued that she continuously is being called a lifesaver.
Yeah.
Like, especially with how she doesn't get introduced. She introduces herself. She makes that move. I'm your neighbor to the right, not my right, not your right. And it doesn't make any bloody sense what she means by my right. Like, oh, I'm the neighbor to your right, my right. And then we actually see she's like 2 houses down or something like that. Because obviously Herb was living next door, which would be, and it's important to note, I'm gonna just put it right here. I am facing Wanda's perspective. So if it's to Agnes is right, then she's to the left. Well, when we see out of the window, it's from the left in the yard. So we know that she does live to the right, looking at the house, but to the left if you're inside Wanda's house, which is why they say that. It's very effing confusing.
Yeah.
Because technically that means she's Wanda's neighbor to Wanda's left.
Mm.
And I don't understand directions.
Yeah.
She did not create Westview. Westview was already created, and I need everyone to understand that Westview, New Jersey is a real place. It lives rent-free in my mind.
Next question. This is a big one. And I think because of the Agatha reveal, it adds even another layer, and the post-credit scene. Who is Evan Peters? He's not, he's to this point, he is in quotes Pietro. At this rate, okay, and then I wanted to throw out a shout out to Terry, member of the Lights Interaction team. His big theory about Evan Peters, I think, right? It's been Nicholas Scratch. Correct me if I'm wrong, or that someone has been him.
See, Scratchy.
Exactly, like that. In my mind, Nicholas Scratch. It was like the Senior Scratchy thing was just like a funny little like, kind of Easter egg as to that Nicholas Scratch character in the comics, but. The fact that Agatha was manipulating Pietro, and that he was outside of her house, Snooper's gonna snoop, which I loved. And I'm leaning to believe that he is in cahoots with Agatha in some way, especially because of his absence since he got blasted from Wanda in episode, what was that, 6, the Halloween episode. After he gets from Wanda because she gets pissed and then she pauses everything and expands and then the episode ends. We don't see Evan Peters anymore. Who do you guys think Evan Peters is at this moment? It's so up in the air to me. Like, is it still a multiverse thing? Did Agatha pull him from the multiverse? What's going on here, guys? I don't really know, but I think he is currently. I think he's in cahoots with Agatha. John Ross, you start this off with this one.
Shoot.
or Thomas.
See, there's so many different theories that I have for this guy, and none of them line up with each other. So, first of all, that his most recent line that we've heard, Snooper's gonna snoop, that kind of sounds like he's relating to Monica, like he's also snooping. He's like, hey, I know, I'm doing it too. So if that's the case, he is snooping around Agatha's house, that would probably mean he is not in cahoots with her, and that would be further reinforced during her theme song when it shows Agatha controlling him at Wanda's front door. You can see that purplish mist or cloud behind him, like she's going like, hey, I got this. Like,
yeah,
it was Agatha all along. So if she was controlling him then, and then probably lost track of him once Wanda, worked her magic on him. I have no idea who he is. I don't know where he came from. There was an interview with Feige just earlier today saying, oh, we used him as a way for, certain people to continue to mess with Wanda. The fact that he said certain people and not Agatha leads me to believe that he's not working with her. But it also doesn't explain why they used Evan Peters unless it's multiverse related, because why else would that even work if they were trying to mess with Wanda? There's so much of this stuff that still doesn't make sense to me, but I'm starting to think that he might not have, bad intentions, but he might just not know why he's there at all.
Yeah. Thomas, before you go, I wanted to shout out, isn't it awesome that we still this Evan Peters thing is still such a mystery? We have 2 episodes left and we still don't know what's happening, and it's not blatantly obvious the verse thing. Like, what is this show? Like, so much of it doesn't make sense. So Thomas, let us know your answer. Who is Evan Peters? What's he playing?
Honestly, when it comes to the fan theories about Evan Peters,
I declare bankruptcy.
I have so many. ideas. He could be Nicholas Scratch. He could be Mephisto. He could be Nightmare. We could be getting Nightmare and not Mephisto. We could be getting some kind of amalgamation of the two together. Recently, someone mentioned a character who's involved with Darkhold, whose name I do not know how to pronounce. And I'm like, it could be that guy. I don't know.
Right.
I enjoyed how his personality in that post-credit scene was very much the same. It's like, you know, let me get my bro vibe on. Snoop is gonna snoop. Like, he hasn't changed really. His personality is the same, and I think there's a reason for that. Is he in cahoots with Agatha? That's a good question. I don't know. Is he a good guy? I don't know. Listen, all I know is I've been watching WandaVision for weeks, and I'm very invested.
Yeah, I think we all are. I'm gonna say one thing before we move on to the second to last question. I hope it is a multiversal thing in some way, and they must explain why it is Evan Peters. They cannot, like, I remember I wrote an article a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago now. I think it was it's a Jack Schaefer, I think is her name, who's the showrunner for WandaVision. And she said something along the lines of these conversations she had with Feige, and basically she had this idea of, I think that's how it went, bringing Evan Peters in. And he was so down from the very beginning. Like, he was like, yes, I would love to be in it. And Feige's like, yeah, okay, make it make sense. It has to make sense in order to do this. And so knowing that at this point, it doesn't make sense. So we know in the next 2 weeks, if it does in fact make sense, like Feige, and in Feige we trust, So I hope that it will make sense. And I hope that there was a reason for it being Evan Peters, and there is a multiversal reason for it. Thomas, you got anything else?
Terry McIver in the comments. You can do that? ? Agatha to Wanda about bringing people back from the dead. That suggests Agatha cannot resurrect, but she seems to be able to pull someone from the multiverse and transplant them with memories from another verse. Peter being recast as Pietro added up right until he mentioned Vision being resurrected. The real Pietro had no memory of Vision being dead.
Right.
And then he says, that's not what I meant to say.
That's okay.
I clicked it off. Yeah. So that's an entire possibility. Like, maybe Agatha knew about the abilities of witchcraft and can change the entire multiverse.
Yeah.
And so she has already done that and brought in Pietro. Now, wouldn't it be amazing if also, like, her son Nicholas Scratch looked like Pietro all at the same time? And that's the reason, that's the making sense part, because multiverse gonna multiverse and all that.
Right. Moving on to our almost final question. Do you like how Monica got her powers? Obviously a big part of episode, what was it? It was episode 7, breaking the fourth wall. Was Monica Rambeau getting what seems to be her photon, spectrum, Captain Marvel, whatever you want to call her powers? Which I'm going to say right now, I've tweeted about this. Monica Rambeau, to me, I love her. It's Tanya Paris, right?
Teyana Paris.
Teyana, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I adore her rendition of this Monica Rambeau character. I prefer her currently to Carol Danvers, Brie Larson's Carol Danvers. Like, at this point, I just think she's had, and I'm invested in the story from Captain Marvel, her busting through. There was those quotes that came out, about how, like, what she was experiencing and her grief and all this, and that gave her the power to push through. I really enjoy this character, and I like how she got her powers. I know some people were maybe thinking she wouldn't get them until Captain Marvel 2, or maybe in a more interesting way, because it was literally just her, just pushing through. But I thought the way it looked was super cool, and Paris went on to say in an interview how, like, they had to film that, and she, like, had to go in each outfit and be tethered to a rope and do the same thing. And I just thought it was really unique how they did all that. And I like her powers. She gets in there and she sees all these different, like, electromagnetics. And that, that landing moment where you see the kind of the shock waves go through her. I am really into her powers. It makes me more excited for Captain Marvel 2. And quickly, before I get to you guys' answers to the question, I love how this show, in so many ways, because of Monica, is vital to the Captain Marvel story. it is the bridge between Captain Marvel 1 and 2. If you really think more, I would argue, than setting up for Doctor Strange in a lot of ways. I mean, this show is like pivotal to that story. It's kind of the side thing going on, but that side story of Monica is going to have direct effects on that movie because we know she's in it, and the way she's being set up as a superhero, like you can only imagine, you know, the possibilities are endless for what she does in that film. So guys, simply, your opinion, did you guys like how Monica got her powers? Thomas, what do you think?
Yeah, I liked it. I have no issue with it. I thought it was really awesome. I want to know the science that they've made up behind it to explain it, other than just she went through the barrier, so it changed her DNA. Like I want to know why there were all the versions of her at once. Like, is that a reason? Like, what were there, 5?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Is that like she's got 5 different bits of radiation that she can absorb and see and etc.? So there's a lot of questions I have out of this question, but I really do love Monica. I love her. I love the acting. I love the writing. I love the way that she is honestly the co-lead of this entire show.
Absolutely.
You know, like if we're going to break it down to what's going on and which character is like moseying their way to the top, it's Monica and Wanda.
Yeah.
And
I know
it's important to note that Monica thinks the only way to get this to stop is Wanda. She is the solution, which just makes it seem all the more pointed that this is going to go terribly wrong.
It's funny how far we've come from the opening couple episodes where it's a story about Vision and Wanda. Now it's not at all, which I hope it gets back to more in the final 2 episodes, because like they were a part all last episode and even the episode before that. Anyway, John Ross, your answer to this one.
All I gotta say is I feel really bad for Brie Larson now having to share the screen with someone as absolutely incredible as Teyana Paris's Monica Rambeau. I love her, and I have to thank God that Monica Rambeau's here, because there's one MCU movie I can't stand, and it's Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
They ruined. I don't want to say ruined, but it doesn't do Captain Marvel justice in the slightest, in my opinion. And now you have Monica Rambeau, and she comes in and she's just a badass. She takes charge. She's a critical thinker. She's a problem solver. She's not impulsive. She's very right-minded, and I love her. And when she got her powers, I was like, yes, this is happening. They're not going to drag this out. They're gonna pull her in to the main MCU storyline. They're gonna make her a big player, and I loved it. I loved every second of it, and it just made me all the more excited for Captain Marvel 2, which I have to admit is one of the movies that's way lower on my list of, levels of excitement.
Yeah.
She's single-handedly changing that for me.
Yeah. I didn't dislike Captain Marvel, I think, as much as you did, but it is mid-tier for me in the MCU. I just almost didn't like how me and my friend were talking about it, because we were talking after this episode came out. We're like, he's asking me, he's like, what are Monica's powers? Like, how powerful is she compared to Captain Marvel? And like and we got into it. I'm looking up like the, like going on like fandom and looking at the powers and stuff. And then we're looking and we're talking about Captain Marvel and how that was like so. And then we look up, if you go on like the fandom website and they see Captain Marvel's power, she's literally Superman with photon blasts and no Kryptonian like downfall. She's basically OP. And for my biggest gripe, honestly, with that movie was that introducing this like literally the most powerful like superhero in the MCU, arguably, I would say,
at that point at least, yeah.
Yeah, like definitely like in that timeline in the 90s. I mean, I don't know. It kind of was like it didn't seem that earned compared to other characters, like a Thor, who in my opinion should be more powerful, just based off of what I've seen and like feels more deserving of such. It's just like, oh, she gets these powers and boom, she can fly and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I like the movie. All right,
everyone.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Before we get to our episode 8 specific predictions, we have a couple questions. I wanted to get to this one from Matt from thedark.com and the Dark Podcast. Does Agatha make it out of WandaVision season 1? Make it out? Does she survive? So it's funny. I like how he puts it. WandaVision season 1, like there's going to be a season 2, because I definitely don't think there's going to be, but who knows?
He loves Elizabeth Olsen, man. He'll take anything he can get.
I think she's going to be in a lot more, just maybe not WandaVision. But yeah. Oh, trust me. My girlfriend's never had a bigger, like there's like a man crush
on a woman.
Girl crush.
Yeah. Well, for me, yeah, girl crush. Yeah, because like, I always have man crushes. It's like my thing. I was like, oh yeah, Tom Holland, Spider-Man in general.
Always, huh?
Him as well.
Yeah, maybe think about that.
Girlfriend, do you say?
Yeah.
anyway, Agatha. I definitely think she makes it out.
Me too. I hope she
100%.
does, because I love Catherine Hahn as her. I just love the character. I hope she makes it out for sure.
I'm manifesting it right now.
Yeah, I hope she's in Doctor Strange. Thomas, what do you think?
If she doesn't, I will abso-frackin-lutely riot. We need more Catherine Hahn in everything. She's a star, baby. Put her in everything.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get to it. Episode 8 is our final thing for today. Our episode 8 specific. So, like, what do we think is going to happen in not tomorrow's episode, but Friday's episode of WandaVision? I'll start. What do you guys think of your answers? Thank you. So it's 47 minutes long, reportedly, so a bit longer. I think, especially based on some stuff we've been seeing this week, my thoughts of what happens is, oh man, it's so hard because you never know what the show's doing. Like all these questions we didn't have answers to today, but I do think this is where we get flashbacks and we get the background of and kind of background / recapping of Wanda's journey in a way. I think that this episode is going to do a lot of telling us how Westview started, because I think it's going to set up big time for the final episode. Well, I think this episode will give us action, but I think, the final episode is going to be, it's the ultimate episode. I think this episode's going to set up what happened with Westview, how this kind of started, because all we know so far is that, Wanda got pissed, ran in, grabbed Vision, and this whole thing happened. But what really happened? I want to see her perspective. I think we're going to get flashbacks. Maybe, I think we're out of the whole sitcom facade, I guess is a good way of putting it. Like, we're not going to do this WandaVision thing anymore. I think we're done with that. I don't think we're going to get another intro. Personally, I don't think it's how. I think from now on, the next 2 episodes are going to feel more movie-like in the way they're told, and less sitcom-like, if at all. More like make reference to them, because I personally want to see how it started. I want to see not a security cam, but her going to grab Vision, what Vision is. I think because of stuff we've seen from marketing, that there will be, like, there's that line where it's like, oh, Vision and Wanda, it's like, this is our home, so let's defend it, blah, blah, blah. I think that will obviously lead to action in this episode, maybe, but I believe in episode 8 that. And, okay, I forgot to say this earlier when I was saying that there wasn't going to be more sitcom-y stuff. I think we may also get more answers as to what the hell the commercials are about. And maybe we see that more in a real light. And like, maybe, like, what if we get a flat... Okay, stay with me, ladies and gentlemen.
How did we miss that question on this show?
Oh, Nexus? Yeah.
Yeah.
I folded. That's my fault.
I totally teased that earlier, and I totally forgot I teased it. Anyways, continue.
You can throw it into your answer. Yeah. I think there's a chance where we see. Okay. This is what I was gonna get to. What if we get a scene where, at the beginning of these commercials, we were getting a man and a woman, and a lot of people suspected that could be Pietro and Wanda's parents. What if we get a scene where we see we see that scene they describe in Age of Ultron to Ultron of the Stark bomb and it not going off and that whole attack on Sokovia. Like, this is, after all, a story about Wanda, and I think it would be a shame if we don't even get more details about her pain and suffering, because we've seen a lot of it, but I think the stuff that happened pre-Ultron is really pivotal to the character she is today, and why all these repeated just blow after blow after blow is really adding up and making her just go into this bubble of happiness, quote unquote. So episode 8 predictions. I think it'll end with an action scene, and that's how we like get into episode 9. I think we will know more. I think point blank, I think we learn what happened to Vision. I think this is the episode that we kind of get more on what Vision is. It may not be, but I hope so, because I think what we're going to see in this episode is kind of see them go through, like, backtrack a bit and have Wanda relive maybe how this whole thing started, and maybe some of those past traumas, like her parents dying and like her and Pietro nearly dying from the bomb that said Stark on it. It's hard because this is the next strong episode and you never really know with this show. There's so many questions. But those are my predictions. John Ross, do you have any for episode 8 coming out Friday?
Yeah, I think I like not necessarily, I don't know if flashbacks is the right way to describe it. I think more, and not even recap, just kind of like an explanatory episode where episode 8 is really like not the payoff, but it catches you up, because we've been seeing all these things and we have so many questions, and so many have been left unanswered for weeks upon end since the beginning. I think episode 8 will serve as the episode that kind of cues us in to the bigger picture. I think that'll be done by Agnes personally, with Wanda, kind of walking her through everything and explaining what her motives are. And I think during that time, Sword will kind of throw a wrench in it, because last episode, Hayward was like, all right, we got to launch. What the hell are you launching? What are you doing? You know, and his whole team just got trapped in Westview now. There's an entire Sword unit dressed up as a circus running around Westview. Westview is a mess right now. You got Vision. Where's Vision? He flew away. How long is it going to take him to find Wanda? You've got Darcy out on her own now too. You got those kids walking around when there weren't supposed to be any kids. Where are those kids going? You got Wanda's twins. Where are the twins? What's Pietro doing? What's Monica doing? It's as scattered as it's been right now. So I think episode 8 will finally cue us in and give us the bigger picture, and it'll all lead into episode 9, which will be the ultimate fallout and the climax of the series.
Right.
I have no idea how that will play out, though. I don't know. I see Terry saying Project Cataract. I got no idea what Cataract is, other than that Cataract has to do with someone's vision, and they were working on Vision. That's all I got. I have no idea what to expect outside of that, general range.
No, I think you put it well, where it's so scattered. Like, this question has been easier in previous weeks doing this, because it hasn't been as scattered. I mean, like, oh, it's the Halloween episode. We have a good idea. This is like,
right, exactly. Where on earth are they going to go next?
Yeah,
right.
And that's what's so exciting. Honestly,
will it even be Earth?
Right. Well, have we even really
will it
seen
set up
any
Captain Marvel
footage?
in a bigger way? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. This could setting up multiple projects. It has huge implications, and yet we know absolutely nothing.
Yep. Okay, Thomas. So with all that said, what is your specific answer for what happens in episode 8?
My original specific answer was I have no absolute idea. I really don't. All the stuff I talked about last week that I thought was going to come on last week's episode didn't happen. It's still coming. So I'm listening to you guys. You both have similar ideas. I like your ideas. It has to happen. Let's break it down simply. The hero's journey, you got to have the Dark Night of the Soul. The penultimate episode before a finale strategically should be the Dark Night of the Soul, especially when it's being told in the fashion that WandaVision is. It's basically just a 6-hour-long movie, right?
Right.
6 hours, excuse me.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah. Stop with the math, everyone. Please just enjoy the
seriously.
show.
We got to take when he said 6 hours, do you really think he meant exactly 6 hours?
6 hours.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Guys,
let's get real.
Exactly.
Come on, this is the MCU we're talking about.
Just enjoy the show.
That's why Avengers Endgame is a 3-hour movie with like 20 minutes of credits almost.
Yeah, right.
So, but I like your ideas in that we do get to explore. And I talked about this last week, that there's that scene of Vision and the entire house being in gray and Wanda's in color. There's also another vision of Wanda wearing white and like weird hexagons behind her. Here's where I've landed. That's the sentence. Based on what you guys said. We get a Black Mirror / Twilight Zone episode that they didn't expect. Like, what would be the least expected thing? It's a sitcom. It's all about TV and this. Well, if you keep it about TV and this, and you turn it dark, what do you get? You get Twilight Zone. You get Black Mirror, and it's all a trip through Wanda's mind, because the last thing that happened that we saw on screen, post credits, of course, is Wanda being shown the intro of Agatha all along.
Yeah. Maybe we keep going.
What if we keep going? Exactly. And she's like, here's why you can't remember what you did. And then she makes her remember. Then that leads to the madness. That leads to the, ooh. Yeah.
I just had a thought. What if, that was an opening theme song to Agatha all along? What if the first 15 minutes is the show Agatha all along? And we see more? I don't know.
That's a great point, because the WandaVision intros have all been centered around Wanda, and then all of a sudden we get a new theme song with a new character. That could very much be hinting that, it's been WandaVision, but now we're going to focus on Agatha and really walk you through what's been going on. That'd be cool. That'd be very cool.
And then as that trauma really hits, that's when, obviously, as you said, Sword will come in. Sword's doing something. I don't like Sword. I don't like Hayward. I also question whether he's a Skrull or not, really. That would explain how some Skrulls are good and some Skrulls are bad for audiences very swiftly, without having to do a lot of legwork.
Sometime,
exactly.
Because they're good right now. We've only known them as good.
Exactly.
Secret Invasion is coming.
We know Secret Invasion is coming. We know that Fury's involved. We know Fury's probably going to be involved with Sword.
And Talos, we know, is in that show too.
Yes.
So.
You gotta love him. You gotta love Ben Mendelsohn. Those sparkly blue eyes.
That voice.
I was so scared of. Yeah, I was so scared of the Skrulls going into Captain Marvel. I'm like, oh man, these bad guys. Like, oh, this is gonna be crazy.
Right? And they just flipped. See, that's what I liked about Captain Marvel is they took what we thought we knew and they flipped it on us. That's what Far From Home did. That's what WandaVision's doing. That's why I think we'll get that weird ass Twilight Zone episode, and then it'll be a genuine trip through the. I love the idea that we see every trauma in her life replayed for her, which again will lead to the breaking, the madness, the cracking. And we, at some point, have to have that mind gem explode. And that's how I think we'll get mutants. But I still think we're going to get to no more multiverse. And that's how we end up with the multiverse of madness, because Wanda projects her madness onto the multiverse by destroying it. And then Doctor Strange is all about putting the multiverse back together.
And Spider-Man's just traveling through it.
Can't find his way home.
He's just hitchhiking. New universe, please. Thank you. Can I go to Pixar? No?
No.
Damn.
No?
Venom universe? Oh, no. No.
Turns off the TV.
I don't want to go to Spuckham.
Cataract. While we're here, I think Cataract is about bringing Vision online. I also question whether or not it's about control. Like, is Vision being controlled by Hayward? Because we know Hayward sent that message and said it was from Darcy so that he could hide his true intentions to then control Vision as he, there's a lot going on. I don't like Hayward. His name's also Tom, so that makes it really difficult to not like him. But.
Yeah, I question, Hayward, that the outside of the Hex stuff, I think we haven't talked about at all. Who knows? We have Silver Wu out there. There's Hayward. I'm still thinking Hayward may just be kind of just an asshole who's not actually has that bad of intentions, but just is, he lived the 5 years after the snap. That can do something to someone. Right? We saw the state of the world during Endgame after those 5 years had passed. Like that.
Ronin.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
Example. Perfect example. That could be the reason they introduced Ronin at all, is to show how those 5 years really took a toll on people.
Like when they were, in that scene in WandaVision, when I don't know why I'm even talking about this, but why not? Why not? You're right. When Monica's talking to Hayward, and Hayward's just like, hey, you weren't here for the last 5 years and you haven't seen what I've seen, all this stuff. Like that hit with me. And in that moment, I'm like, I emphasize, even though Hayward's being portrayed as this dick, I empathize with what he's lived through and what he's seen, because it's true. Like those 5 years had a toll, like you said, Ronan. And I think that I do not. And with all that being said, I think that Hayward is not a bad guy. I think I saw this on the John Campea show. He compared him to maybe like General Ross. He's a dick, but he's not a bad guy. He's still in it with the good fight. He's not a bad person. He may not, his methods may not be what lines up with what we think is good, but I do not think Hayward is actually a bad guy. And if he's a Skrull, I could mix things up entirely, but those are my thoughts on that anyway.
I like the General Ross comparison. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, me neither.
I think we're questioning. There's certainly elements of WandaVision that we're questioning too much because it's WandaVision.
Yes.
It's training us to question every little detail, and there may be things that we're way overanalyzing and
absolutely
diverting way too much attention to when we should be looking elsewhere.
Yeah. Before we close, I think there's been a big debate on, and I think it's kind of been settled that weekly release versus binge release. I think for the company, weekly has been incredible. Like for us, the direct, for Disney, like the hype just builds week by week. We have a crap ton of stuff to write about every week after an episode. Like the hype builds, we're sitting here talking about it every week. So I think from a media standpoint, and even a money generator for Disney, I think the weekly thing really works. But I think the bad side about it is that overanalyzation. Like if you had watched WandaVision in maybe like 3 sittings, like probably I would have if it had been a binge. Honestly, that's probably how long it would have taken me. Probably 3 sittings, finish the show. The Agatha part wouldn't have been such like it would have made more sense, I think, if you'd watched it just through, and it wouldn't have been this like, oh, well, that's a cool reveal, but what about Mephisto? Like, there probably wouldn't be 100,000 Mephisto stories if there's been a binge release. But I do think, for all intents and purposes, like the weekly releases have been just great for the company, great for us at the direct, and fun that keep up the dialogue. Personally, like I think at the beginning, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I need more. But as it's gone on, we've been given more and more and more. So I'm not. Me after episodes 1 and 2 is different than me now, knowing where I am. But it's also because I've been given at this point most of the season, so I already kind of know what happens. But yeah, I think that's a really good point earlier, Thomas. About go on.
We didn't even touch the Darkhold that's sitting in her basement, like Mephisto and like 30 other major villains that they could be. Just branching out of that, and the fact that could be the book missing in Doctor Strange, the Sanctum Sanctorum. Like, there's just so many. It's like an onion. That was terrible. It's like an onion. There's layers. We got that.
All right. Any questions in the comments before we wrap up? Apparently Matt is not a math guy, but a big numbers guy. What's Terry saying? Final comment.
I knew that, Matt.
Barton turning up and talking Wanda does make sense. He was the only one instead of on and everything connected. Wow, I love that, and it could set up Hawkeye.
Yes. So for our audio listeners, I'll read the comment. Clint Barton /Hawkeye/Ronan turning up and talking Wanda down would make sense. He was the only one outside of Vision that really connected to Wanda.
That's what America did too, based off their relationship in Civil War. But anyway.
Oh yes. Wow. Okay.
That's a good thought. My girlfriend had said something really similar to that, where he could show up and be that voice of reason, since clearly no one else is getting the job done with Wanda. But I mean, if Vision couldn't get through to her, and then her supposed dead brother didn't really have an effect on her, who else is there that can even try? So like, and I mean, I don't see it happening just because they're kind of putting Monica in that position to kind of be that voice of. They've hinted at that several times now of them, clashing and facing off. But I do like the thought of Clint. I mean, he could show up and talk down Hayward too. I mean, if you're making that connection to where Hayward was so affected by the blip or that 5 years, maybe Clint is like, hey, I know exactly what you've been through because I've been through it, and look at what I did. It's not going to help, So I mean, there's definitely a chance that Hawkeye could show up somewhere because there are other Avengers that lived through it too, but he was definitely affected the most out of any Avenger.
Yeah. And I mean, that could be the Hamill cameo. Who knows? I mean, that's not earth shattering, but it could be, I mean, there is a cameo still coming. And honestly, I'll be honest, I hope there is no she doesn't get talked down at all. Because I hope she kind of goes nuts at the end of this.
I hope it doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope there is no talking down. I hope there is no calling her. I hope she has to be forced to, or at least, Doctor Strange settles her down in Multiverse of Madness. But anyway, wrapping up now. John Ross, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope you had fun. An extra long episode for an extra big day. We covered a lot of different things, man. This has been a joy to have you on. I think it's, me and Thomas share our thoughts to each other, bounce off each other every week. And having someone different on sharing their ideas is definitely a breath of fresh air in some ways. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope you had fun.
I did. I had a ton of fun. Thank you guys for having me. And look forward to the next time I get to connect with you guys, especially you, Thomas, since I never really talked to you, but that'll change. That'll change. Thank you again.
Yes. Oh, of course. Thank you for coming on. It was a lot of fun. Let's be honest, David and I could talk for 4 hours by ourselves, just WandaVision alone. So adding in another person really changes up the pacing and makes it nice. This is a 2-hour, 40-minute episode. It feels like it flew by.
It really does.
Definitely, yeah.
It does.
Definitely.
But John Ross Bradford, where can everyone find you on social media?
So you can find me on Twitter. I am John Ross Bradford of The Direct. My handle is JRB_direct. You can also find me on Instagram, JROSSB97. Terry, it was awesome hanging with you too. I love how in-depth your theories are. But yeah, that's it. Twitter is pretty much my main platform. So
yeah,
hit me up there. We'll follow each other. We'll have good discussions.
Fantastic.
David, where can everyone find you on social media?
Yeah, guys, you can find me at my name, David Thompson, on Facebook, at David J. Thompson on TikTok. I don't post there, but, follow me. Sure, just go on TikTok. I just more go on there to watch the videos. Follow me also at David J. Thompson on Instagram, and then go give me a follow on Twitter. It's where I live the most. It's my favorite social media. It's where I'm most active, so go give me a follow there, at David Thompson with 2 A's in the David. Go find me there. Thomas, how about you, brother?
You can find me at linktree.com/TC Rochester Act. That is TCROCHESTERACT. That'll get you to my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, our Lights Thunder Action Shop. Yes, all the places that I have found myself on this vast multi-internet verse that we live in.
Absolutely.
Brain froze. There it is. David, what do you have to promote for this week?
Yeah, sure, guys. So this is kind of a dual promotion. So go check out thedirect.com. You can find mine or John Ross's articles there. Articles that he has edited and written and all this stuff. Theories, of course, we'll be covering WandaVision. We're covering all the crap that came out today that we talked about when it comes to the MCU with Loki and Spider-Man. Of course, there's going to be a lot more to come with Spider-Man. So go check us out, thedirect.com. Check out the Direct podcast. Keep up to date there. Thomas, any promotions for this week?
Absolutely. Yeah, we always have promotions to do. I'm ready to wrap this up, so I'm going to save everyone the trouble of having to listen to me talk any further. Next week on potentially Thor's Day again, hopefully. We can get back to our Thor's Day days. We will be doing episode 8, which, will be just mere hours before the finale.
That's crazy. Wow. Yeah. Next time we do an episode, it's going to be before the finale.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
What will we know from then? Nothing. We won't know a damn thing. We'll be in the same boat as this week. For those of you listening on the live version, I realized I just posted this in the comments and it's wrong. It's JRB_direct on Twitter, not Facebook.
Twitter. Yes, sir. Twitter.
My bad. But search it anyway.
On Facebook.
Yes. And then I posted the IG in the comments as well. Again, cool. John Ross Bradford. John Ross Bradford. Thank you for joining us. throw some
Yeah.
respect on that name. You
You'll
know,
have to come back sometime, man. You'll have to come back. Maybe sometime during Falcon Winter Soldier. The next.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. I would love it.
All right.
I will await the call.
Yes,
All right,
this
thank
has
you so
been.
much, Conrad.
Yes, thank you to everyone in the comments, everyone that joined us. We appreciate you. We know this is long, but don't worry, because this has been episode 46 of Lights, Thunder, Action. We'll catch you all next week.
Bye, everyone.